Down a darkened drive, you'll find their candlelight. From a widow's peak, you'll see it burning bright. Through the double doors into their dusty tomb, you'll feel eyes from paintings follow room to room. On the creaky stairs, you may think twice as you tell yourself those bangs are mice. In the upstairs hall, you'll see shadows dance. There's a light from the candle, this is your only chance. You run and you cry as you curse this dark night, only to find at the end there's no candlelight. Instead, there's some headphones you put on full of fear. When suddenly it's every nightmare rolled into one that you hear. And it says, "Welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow with your host, John and Stacey Edwards of ParanormalSideshow.com. Hello and welcome to the Paranormal Sideshow. I'm your host, John Edwards, and joined as always by my lovely wife, Stacey.
Hello.
Almost lost my voice during the always. That was kind of strange.
It was weird.
Yeah, that was because all the stuff I was just trying to mimic a spirit voice that I heard. It always freaks me out when I hear it, and you would think I'd be used to it by now. But Stacey didn't hear it, and it honestly sounded like it came through my headphones. But
which is weird that I didn't hear it.
Yeah, we were having a moment of silence, and not like somebody was dead or something. we were having a moment of silence. We were both like checking our stuff and getting our final notes ready and all this, and I was looking down and at my notebook. And all of a sudden I hear this voice, and I'll try to mimic this as well as I can. Okay. But it goes, "Why aren't you talking?" Yeah. So that just happened. So right. when it happened, I tell Stacey, and all around our studio table is like electricity, and she's got the goose pimples, I've got the goose pimples. It's like Goose Pimple Junction in here. Yep. I mean, it's just,
which is a real place.
It is. Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
Did you ever think of it in a haunted kind of way until just then?
No, because do you know what's in Goose Pimple Junction?
I don't know.
There's a camp there. Okay. It's like a Christian camp, a Bible camp.
Really? Ooh. I hope the preacher didn't name that place.
I don't think so. I don't know if it's still there. It was there years ago, like when I was a teenager.
Yeah, Goose Pimple Junction sounds like a children's show. Like a Don't Be Afraid of the Dark kind of. Right. Yeah, Goose Pimples. It's kind of weird. Anyway, speaking of weird, right? Us. Yes. So we are on the countdown to Scarefest.
We are.
The Scare Festiva. we are literally 0 hours, man. We are right on the precipice of making our journey to Lexington, Kentucky, and making our triumphant return to the Fest of the Scares. Yes. And we'll have so much fun. It's going to be a good time.
It is.
We always have a good time there. We're both doing everything we need to do, like dieting. Because we don't have a public appearance for a month and a half wait. And then we have we're going out every week and filming wait. and what it is, when you've been together as long as we have, and I know some of you guys and girls have, because we talk to so many of you, and we understand that you understand. So when we know that we're going to sit around and binge programs for a couple of weeks, it don't matter what kind of diet we're on. We completely just stop. And,
because you have to have the snacks when you're binging the programs.
Oh, absolutely. And
we bought this really big couch, and we don't like snuggle, or we each get in one corner. So you have to kind of like yell down to each other, and then we just pile up these snacks kind of right in the middle. Yeah. And we just watch TV and like eat. I'm surprised we don't put a cooler up there with drinks in it.
Oh, if it wasn't for the kids. There would be. You remember when we used to want to buy the couch that had the cooler? Right. You remember that? Like
I do vaguely remember that.
We're so white trash. We are so literally white trash. I remember when we used to be like, who wants a house? Let's get the double wide that has the radio in the wall. We're so white trash. And I remember looking at the couches, and you were like, baby, this one has like a lift up cooler.
We were younger.
We wouldn't even have to get up.
Those things were important.
if it had a toilet, Oh,
I know.
That would just be perfect. Oh, wow. What a life.
Lift up different cushions for different things.
Do you think the ghost is still here now?
Probably not.
It's like, my God. I wish you weren't talking now. But yeah, the weird gets weirder. It just does. And that's something that's like the theme around here is the weird gets weirder. And did you hear that? Like that interference?
I heard like a little bit of interference. That was weird.
And it gets weirder.
Yes, it does.
It was like a little shh.
Yeah, I heard it.
We've had a lot of white trucks out back. And, that shouldn't be there. The other morning I woke Stacey up and I was like, all right, because, I had to go take my morning. Okay, so there's a window over the toilet. And when I first go to do man things, first thing in the morning, I will open the blinds and look out at the beautiful sun. And sometimes when I do that, I look down and there's a white van or truck down at the bottom of the hill at 6 a.m. staring up. God, just staring up.
Yep.
Just staring up, literally. So I'll come back in here and I'll be like, hey, baby, hey. What? Oh, hey, I hope I didn't wake you. No, I didn't wake me.
I hope I didn't wake you. You intend to wake me.
And she'll come in there and take a look at it and be like,
I'll say, yep, that's a white van. I'll go back to bed.
Go right back to bed. I don't know, man. Maybe it's because we've been watching all these weird indie movies lately. So Stacey and I, as we talked before, we love watching independent movies. I don't know why we put ourselves through this hell, because everybody wants to be artsy. So in an indie movie, especially indie horror. So if we're watching an indie horror movie, you can bet on the fact that it's barely going to make sense, but you're pretentious enough to believe that you understand what kind of sense it's making.
Right. Like it's some kind of really artsy, obscure, only super smart people get it kind of movie, when really it's probably just nonsense.
No, absolutely. It's the red door thing, right?
Our problem is when we get invested in a movie, like once you get so far in, even if it's horrible, we won't turn it off because we're like, this has to get better. We've already watched it for an hour. We're just going to finish it.
I don't know, man. I tell you, it's like we got this Kubrick thing about us. So we think every director is Stanley Kubrick, and they're going to be hiding something under a pillow or something that we need to find.
We're looking for hidden meanings.
We have a lot of fun watching stuff. We're just let down quite often. One of the things we watched this past week, though, was actually kind of funny because we love Mystery Science Theater, and we also love Riff Tracks, which is, came after Mystery Science, still going on. They just don't put all the robots and all that stuff. Same guys.
Right.
And so if you have Amazon Prime, there's a shit ton of them that you can watch. And we got one the other night. We never finish them because they're funny as can be, but it's kind of like, I don't know, that kind of comedy is kind of like porn. Like when you get your big laugh out of the way,
right? It's all kind of downhill from there.
You're just kind of like, well, why am I still watching this? I don't have no reason to watch it,
right?
And it's never compelling enough, like porn, because
the movies are so horrible,
right? It's not compelling enough. Like you don't need to know what happens to the mailman,
right?
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. So the plot doesn't matter. But the one we watched the other night,
oh God,
well. It had to be the most laughs just from the absolute wretched nature of this. It was so bad that I almost got in my vehicle and drove to California to where it was filmed. Stacey doesn't realize how serious I was. I was looking up on my phone exactly where it was. I was looking up and seeing if there was stores with the company I work for in this area, because I fell in love with this horrible area that was on here because of just.
I'm sure the area is very nice. The movie was not that great.
Oh my God! So we watched this movie, and do you remember the name?
Yeah, it's Birdemic.
Okay, so we watched Birdemic, and for any of you cult movie fans out there who have not seen Birdemic,
oh wow,
you have to go out of your way to watch Birdemic.
Even if you don't watch the Riff Tracks version, you just watch the regular movie.
Yeah, you can watch the regular version, but the Riff Tracks version is pretty funny.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty funny. So this movie is still tripping me out. It is still true. I still think about this guy in the woods. Like, I still think about why did they even put that part in there? So basically, imagine AOC made a movie, okay? Using AOC's brain. She actually, they're like, you know what, Alexandria, we really believe in you, okay? We believe in the Green New Deal. We need to get that message out to everyone. So go to California. They're going to love you there. And just, please make this movie. Here's $30, okay? And my dad's Canon, okay? Not like a Canon, but like a video camera Canon. Anyway, and the reason I say that, it was very Greenpeace-y. It was very, very...
I'll say the premise of the movie was these eagles would attack, and turkey buzzards. Eagles and turkey buzzards were attacking this town.
But was that the premise of the movie? Because, listen, the best part of it, how long did we have to wait for anything to happen with a bird? 45
minutes into it, there wasn't a single bird in the whole movie. We're like, this is birdemic, and we're watching this guy and this girl go out on dates. I don't understand what's happening here.
Somewhere around 30 minutes, when they were on the beach, if we seen an actual seagull in the distance, Stacey'd be like, do you think that's it? Do you think that's it? He's flying like toward him a little bit. No, it just went off to the left.
Well, the whole point was that the birds were attacking because, like, the gas stations and stuff, because everybody, the whole planet, fossil fuels were killing the planet, and very political statements. Very political. There was even this one couple in the movie. They had nothing to do with the story. They just showed them, like, okay, they were the friends, and they only showed them so the girl could push her like...
It was a Yoko Ono shirt.
Yeah, like her website and her...
It was Imagine...
Imagine Peace.
Yeah, Imagine Peace.
Every shirt she wore said Imagine Peace. She had signs. Every time you saw her, there'd be a sign over her head.
And they had a sex scene where she's wearing a bathing suit for no apparent reason. Like, she's riding this guy, and if there's kids listening right now, I meant she was writing him like a letter. So she's writing him a letter in the bed, and that she's wearing a bathing suit. We didn't want to see the nudity. It's not that.
No.
But we were kind of curious about, why did you go here with this guy? Because, I mean, she had regular clothes on to start with. And then she's like, hey, I happen to wear, it's a spree, I hope you like it. So yeah, that was really strange. And there is no way to really put into words when they do show up. And
birds.
When the birds show up. So it would have been better if they had got taxidermy birds and just threw them from off camera and hit people in the head.
Right. That would have been much better than what they had.
So they had the worst form of CGI. I mean, this CGI.
They were like these computer generated birds that didn't even flap their wings. They just sort of glided around everywhere, and they would hover, but they didn't flap their wings. And they were like always in the same positions exactly.
They hovered. Can eagles do that?
I don't know, but they didn't change their positions. Like they just kept one position, and sort of moved around the screen. Oh God!
And for some reason, there's a turkey buzzard.
And
it's
then
like three eagles and a turkey
like
buzzard.
The eagles and the turkey buzzards joined forces, and then just when we thought we knew everything that was to know about birdemic, the bird exploded with green acid.
Yes.
Like it peed green acid.
Yeah, it peed green acid.
And people died because the bird dive bombed them and exploded. Like they were kamikaze birds. They were like dive bombing everywhere.
When the birds first show up, everything goes from normal. And honestly, I'll be completely honest with you. The first 45 minutes, I'm kind of getting into the relationship part of it.
Yeah, I sort of wanted to see where that was going to go.
It was like, it wasn't that, I mean, the acting was terrible, but it wasn't so bad that, I have to watch Hallmark movies with Stacey, so I'm kind of used to that acting, like, hi, oh, what am I going to do? My ex-boyfriend's in town. I really like you though. But so I'm kind of used to that a little bit, and I'm sorry about the laughing, but I guess, all right. When they show up, all of a sudden you see this city scene, and it's just buildings exploding, and and
birds flying.
Birds flying everywhere. And this one like 15-second track of like seagulls. But there's no seagulls anywhere, but it's like, and it's just over and over. So we have the surround sound gimmick, you know? So we have a speaker in each ear, and all it is like, and it's so horrible. And so you, at that point, like you can't turn that off. And, you know, like she said, there's like scenes in the movie that just don't belong, and they put it in there just to, you know, like, yeah, sure, Paul, Mary, come on, we'll put it in there. And then, like, I don't want to give away the ending because I really want you guys to, I really want you guys to watch it. But there is something that, you know, comes to save the day that is just a gem. It makes no sense. And Stacey, my sweet, lovely Stacey, we can be watching the crappiest movie of all time, which this has to be.
Right.
I mean, I can't think. I would watch Ishtar 10 times. 10 times before I would watch this one again. Oh. Okay? But the thing is, Stacey at the end of it, she's like fussing. Okay, you gotta understand.
You can be honest. I'm screaming at the television.
When she finally pops, when Stacey pops, she pops. All right. So right at the end of it, the credits are going. She's like, "They're not explaining it. They're not explaining it. Why did they show up? Where are they going? Is everything going?" And it was just like,
like, what's happening?
She was like wanting the end of Animal House.
I was like, why are the birds flying away, but they're not getting any smaller? I don't understand what's happening here.
Stacey wants to see, Eagle number 2 went on to host a game show.
I just really wanted them to explain how everything was suddenly all over.
My favorite part of the movie, they go into the woods for some reason, and they had these kids with them that weren't their kids. Mm-hmm.
But their parents are dead now, so I guess they've adopted them.
Their parents are dead, so they just have these kids with them. And every time they show, okay, without saying, 5 hours have passed, every time they show, like 20 seconds, scene to scene, the kids will be like, "I'm thirsty." And so the first couple times it didn't really bother Stacey, okay? So it was literally within a 5-minute period. They had just went into a store and took like a 24-pack of water. Yes. Okay, there's 4 of them. Uh-huh. So then they stop again and they get water. So it's a few seconds pass and the kids are like, "I'm thirsty," and Stacey's like, "Jesus Christ! What's wrong with those kids?"
And nobody used the bathroom. Yeah, it's like they had all this water.
So they take them to this fresh stream. They're like, "Hey, let's get some fresh water," because that's what you want to drink during a birdemic.
They didn't run out of gas.
Yes, ever. But they get in there and there's some guy and he's up in a tree and he like comes down. He's like, "I'm a tree hugger," and he's talking about the trees. He's like,
his horrible hair.
He's like, it was a wig. It was like some bald old man that they put this like hippie wig on. That was like, it's like the guy at church. The guy at church when you were growing up, okay? There was always the guy at church that sat like in the front couple of rows, and he would have that toupee on that was kind of sideways. It looked like it looked like a hamster had died on his head. And, but no one ever said anything.
Right. It wasn't really stuck down on the sides well.
Yeah. Yeah. His name's Harry, but yeah, it was like that. But all of a sudden, this guy's giving his big diatribe, okay, and it's all about the environment, and it's, he's talking about, he's got a speech. That speech goes 5 minutes, and he's just like, "Well, I'll tell you, if you ever watched Beavis and Butthead, there was this long-haired hippie guy that was like the camp counselor, and he would always be like, 'Now, boys,' he would never lose his cool or anything. Right. It was like that guy. And then all of a sudden, there's this big roar.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, "I gotta go. It's a mountain lion."
Like, I hear a mountain lion. I should probably go. And then he leaves, and there's like these people and kids, and there's a mountain lion, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah, and they didn't even run. No. The girl is always smiling at the kids. It's like there's a mountain lion. She's like, oh, come on, children. Are you thirsty? So anyway, Birdemic, we have to talk about that. So if in the nature and the vein of movies, all right, and I'm telling you, this is why our house is haunted.
And well, there's even a song. John has a new favorite song now.
Oh my God.
You can find it on YouTube.
Oh my God. It's Keeping It in the Family or whatever. It was like it got in my head, and it was literally wrote for the damn thing because they were supposed to be in a packed nightclub, and it was
just them.
It was just these two people, and this soul singer, and he would go into a rap, like not just a rap, but like a terrible rap. You know, like one of those that they make, I'll go church again. When they make the rap song at church about Jesus.
Right.
And it's some, 40-year-old white guy. And he's just like.
He's trying to relate.
Yeah. He's like, that's no problem. We'll put it in a pod. Let's do another move for God. And it's one of those, don't do drugs kind of raps.
Right.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. Absolutely horrible.
I don't know. I think that's going to go down as one of my favorite movies ever.
So let me tell you something before I go on to any more movies.
Okay.
And I just thought of this. This is not on my notes or anything. It's this disturbing. Mm-hmm. So I have this guy, and he's an older guy, and he's in one of my stores.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm the district manager. Mm-hmm. All right. So I go to store to store to store to store. So this guy he's a driver. Now I can't tell his manager this.
Okay.
Okay. But I also can't fire the guy because it's so disturbing. I don't want to write the report.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Right, but you're going to tell us now.
Because I'm friends with our HR guy.
Right.
Okay, so, and I don't want to tell this HR guy that I'm friends with about this because he'll rib me.
Okay.
So I'm in the store the other day, and it had been a really long day. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really tired. I don't feel like doing anything. So I need a drink, and just to be honest with you, I needed a Monster. So I went up and I got a white Monster, and all the stores know to stock white Monsters because that's what
in case you come back.
That's what I drink.
Right.
So I got a white Monster. I go up there and I'm getting ready to ring it up and everything, and I'm just like, no, don't do any kind of employee discount, and I just ring it up. And so he's ringing it up. He goes, hey, you want to see something really cool? I'm like,
nothing good ever started.
Well, the thing is, most of the employees don't have that kind of gall.
Right.
Okay, most of them are just like, oh, yes, sir, excuse me, sir. Mm-hmm. And I would talk to them, but they don't talk to me. They run. Right. They scatter. They're like deer in a field.
Right. I understand.
So he goes, check this out, and he picks his phone up, and it's classic vintage nudity. It's like nudity from like maybe the 50s. Right. And I mean, there's a stark naked,
like pinup girl stuff.
Yeah, well, not even. It's in an apartment, but there's this stark naked girl.
Right.
So I just had to say it. I was like, that's really inappropriate. And I'm not going to say his name because a lot of times I'll joke and I'll say, let's call him Tom, and the guy's name's really Tom. That's just a little joke I normally do. It's just so you guys know. But I'm not going to say his name. Let's say salesman number one.
Okay.
So, I was like, salesman number one, that's very inappropriate, and I don't even know what's going on right now. That's how I said it. He goes, it's Betty White. And I was like, let me see that. I was like, no, it's not. She
was beautiful.
He's like, it's Betty White. And he's like, look. He's like, slide it to the side. He's like, there's another one. And I was like, all right. I was like, I do have a question. And I was like, this is not the kind of question I would normally follow up with somebody showing me something like this. But I have to know. Were you purposely looking up for nudity of Betty White? Because I just have to know. And he's like, somebody showed me. He's like, so maybe they were. Somebody showed me. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go in the back now. I don't know if I can ever look at that guy again.
Right.
But it bothers me now. I'm never going to be able to watch Golden Girls.
Someone at the beginning of that chain of nude Betty White pictures was looking up nude Betty White pictures.
Yeah, nude Betty White.
I certainly hope there aren't any like recent nude Betty White photos.
Well, I don't know.
But knowing her, there might be.
Yeah, she's like the queen, man. I mean, she's going to keep kicking.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I like predicted. It's a terrible thing to say. We don't cancel the British tour. I predicted that the queen was going to, this year, they just felt that way, but it's almost like that's not like a hard bet.
Right.
When you get to be, Jesus, she's been queen since, a long ass time.
Right. It's not going to be like a big shocker.
Right.
Right.
Right. It's going to be sad,
Right.
But not a big shocker. So anyway, back to the movies.
Okay.
Back to the movies. At least that was an actress, so it wasn't too far off.
Right. You can relate that somehow.
Just absolutely disturbing though. So
I'll just tell a funny little side note here. When John and I were preparing for our Scarefest lecture, we were pulling out our lecture notes and our PowerPoint and, trying to fine tune it because the time constraint at Scarefest is a little shorter than what we're used to being able to do. And so we decided that John maybe should hold note cards. He doesn't usually use note cards for a presentation, so I'll have to explain this. But I feel personally like since we only have 45 minutes that he's going to need these cards to stay on topic. And we had a serious discussion about this. Like, you can't just do like we do. We don't have 5 hours. You can't just go off on a tangent. You got to say what we're there to say and move on. And that's going to be difficult. I think that's going to be our hardest. That's going to be our hardest obstacle, I do believe.
It's horrible. It's horrible because
John's like, I'm only going to get one story in. I don't understand.
Yeah. It's going to be a humdinger. They're going to remember that story.
We're going to be talking so fast. It's not even going to be funny.
And what's going to happen is the one story is going to take up like 35 minutes.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
And then we're going to hurry through the rest.
We're going to be like, blah, 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 blah.
It's like we've printed out packets.
Well, we do have 3 lectures. We can hijack the other lectures and be like, this is just going to be a continuation of what we did earlier.
Is that a way to build the audience throughout the day?
There you go.
It's like if you want to see the rest, God, wouldn't that be awesome?
Part 2 and
leave
part
them
3.
on a cliffhanger.
Make them come back.
Did Stacey live?
No, I didn't.
So yeah, that is funny and true, very true. I'll admit it, man. I'll admit it. But okay, so one of the movies we watched was not an indie movie,
right,
but it was a classic that I had not seen and Stacey had not seen it, and so we had to watch it because we had to watch it.
Right.
So we watched Rosemary's Baby. Holy cow. That movie left me with a sense of utter disturbance.
Yes, me too. I agree. Like there was no happy ending there. There was no, it was just disturbing all the way through.
It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Because you actually feel like you're Rosemary. Like you feel the tension of somebody catching you.
Exactly.
You feel the tension of the walls coming in around you. And they capture it perfectly.
And you feel like you kind of know what's going on, but you're not exactly sure until, it gets on in the movie.
And that's one of the things I liked about the movie was she wasn't some dumb idiot. She actually knew something was going on. She called him out about it.
Right. And she tried to get out of the situation.
In a modern movie, as much as women's lib and all this stuff is supposedly happened, right? In a modern movie, the girl would be like not even knowing, or she would not tell them that they're witches. She just wouldn't do it. She would keep it to herself.
Right.
And she would try to sneak around and find out and get caught and stuff. But no, not in this movie. This movie's like, she's like, ah.
I have to say, it didn't end like I expected either.
Nope.
I fully expected a totally different ending.
Yeah. No, I did not expect what happened there. It was disturbing, but not nearly as disturbing as the one I'm going to land on.
Oh, wow.
So we watched another indie movie. Now, this one's available on Netflix, so it's not that hard to find or anything. What was the name of it? I call it The Regurgitating Marys.
St. Agatha?
Yeah, St. Agnes.
Agatha.
Agatha?
Yeah, St. Agatha.
So, yeah. This movie, I'm sure a lot of you have seen it. It's a Netflix movie. It's up on Netflix, so oh my God.
So basically, the storyline is that it's back in the 50s or 60s, and there's a girl, and she's not married, and she's pregnant, and she's in a soup kitchen. She's
Right.
having hard times, and so this nun tells her that there's a
We'll take care
place
of you.
that
Yeah.
takes care of girls like her. So that's the premise of the movie. She goes to this place, and yeah, interesting.
I mean, just some gross stuff. Just some really gross stuff. But yeah, you should watch it. It's interesting.
It's yet again another movie that's going to leave you feeling a little disturbed.
Yeah,
I think I was disturbed.
Yeah, I was too. It's a little disturbing. But at the same time, hey, we watched it, right? I mean, there you go. And one that's not a horror movie, but I just have to say, because if The Outsiders is not one of your favorite movies, then I'm not sure that we can be friends. Okay, so everybody loves The Outsiders. Just everybody loves it. Normally, it's a great movie. Okay, I didn't realize that they had redone the movie, and obviously I just missed it.
Right. 2005
was a strange year for me. So I just missed the fact that they had redone this movie with the old footage and put 22 minutes into
22
it.
extra minutes, like a different stuff at the beginning and at the end.
Yeah, to make it more loyal to the book.
Yes, and honestly, it made the rest of the movie make a little more sense.
Yeah, and there was definitely certain parts in it that made more sense because of it, and it was great. It was really great. So I recommend you finding the long version there of The Outsiders, because it's worth the extra 22 minutes. And plus, who don't want to stay gold again?
It's such a good movie.
If you can watch that without like getting this,
I'm amazed at the cast in that movie. Like, you just don't see.
But Matt Dillon steals the show. He just does. Matt Dillon is the most underrated actor ever. I've been in love with Matt Dillon since I was a kid, watching Tex, My Bodyguard. I even liked him as the butthole in My Bodyguard. Something about the way he walks with his machismo.
Right.
And to this day, if I put on cowboy boots, I still walk with that strut. I just do. Stacey's got on me before. She has. She's like, why are you walking like that? You don't walk like that. I'll never forget her saying that. I had on my boots. I'm like, I don't know.
It's the boots.
Yeah. It was actually my motorcycle boots. So it probably was the boots, because they're like 30 pounds if anybody's ever wore motorcycle boots. But yeah, anyway, fun stuff. And speaking of fun stuff, I got to talk about the Scarefest, because we were talking about it and I said I would go back to it. So I am going to go back to it.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you a little bit of the itinerary for those of you who are coming to Scarefest. If you are in the area, okay, and by in the area, I mean if within like a 10-state area. Right. And you want to come hang with John and Stacey, this would be a perfect opportunity. We can't get away from you. We have a booth. Right. And we got 3 lectures on Saturday. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The first one we've got is going to be at 1:15 p.m. And it is the John and Stacey Edwards Till Death and Beyond. Yes. So obviously we're going to be talking about the book.
Yes, we'll be talking about us and the book and sharing a few stories and stuff like we talk about on the podcast.
A few anecdotes.
Yes.
But yeah, I've already written like comedy for it. It's what it is a 45-minute stand-up routine, because I can't help myself. So it took me 3 minutes, and I wrote an intro because I was like, all right, let me do this. So I'm just like, and Stacey's on the bed, playing a game, and it's like, I'm like, okay, and then I give it to her. And she's laughing. And that's the telltale. Because you don't understand. All right. So you talk about confidence. I have like pretty cool life. I always have. So, I got a great job, and drive a nice car. I always have drove a nice car. And, I go to pro wrestling, and people chant my name. They may chant bad things with it, but I do my job, and it doesn't matter, man. Lead singer of a band, pro wrestler, whatever. Right. Stacey, I can't pop her, and by popping, I mean it's like it has to be something just off. I mean, I have to really catch her to get her to laugh. And, just, I don't know why. Well,
I'm very used to your comedy, I guess.
Right.
And I truly believe that my purpose in life is to keep you grounded.
Yeah.
So I can't just like overly gush over your things.
All right. Well, you gushed over the intro.
Yes, it was good.
So
it was good.
people are going to have to come and gush. So I hope we get some people in there that don't know. And they're like, till death and beyond. That sounds so serious, Sandy. That sounds so serious. Let's go see this one.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Ted. And they get in there and they're sitting there and they've got their notepads and stuff because they're going to learn. And then here it is. I'm like, razzle dazzle dazzle, you know, and blowing a kazoo and we're throwing pies in each other's faces and all this stuff. Yeah. Looking forward to it. So then at 3:45, we're going to be with just a gaggle of galloping ghost hunters and conspiracy people.
Right.
So it's going to be the conspiracy theory panel. And John and Stacey Edwards will be on that. Alan Marston will be on that. Wes Forsyth will be on that. Kyle Cobb will be on that. Susanna McComas will be on that. So a lot of people, a lot of good quality humans. We got the best humans.
It's definitely the place to go if you have conspiracy theory questions
Yes.
that you would like to pose.
And we're going to hit the big ones. Moon landings and hollow earths and flat earths and mysterious booms. I'm going to hit that.
Yes.
I got to hit that. The hums.
So is this panel, is this where we bring topics? I was under the impression people were just going to ask questions like a panel.
Oh.
But I don't know if that's true.
Well, then I need some plants.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, guess what you get to do? So, yes, sir, you over there. Oh, yeah, my name's Jeff. Hi, Jeff. How you doing? What do you want to ask, Jeff? Oh, I was wanting to know about mysterious booms. Okay, great.
Just give him a little card with all the questions that you want.
Yeah, I'll distribute them throughout the room. So you guys get a $5.
I'm not sure how it's going to work.
So then at 6:15, 6:15 on Saturday night, you get a nice little presentation called "A Crazy Thing Happened on Our Way to Normal." And it's just like it sounds. It just, we want it to be normal. We just didn't end up that way.
Exactly.
John and Stacey with our friend Alan Marston.
Yes. This is absolutely the one that will be a continuation of whatever we didn't finish in ours.
Yeah.
Because we're going to bring some of the weirder things, some of the more off normal topics that
the more fringe area.
Yeah.
So in the first one, we have to somewhat stay mainstream.
Yeah, because that's mostly about our book and about us and how we got into it and our journey.
Right.
And so it's very straightforward, just normal paranormal haunted stuff.
And the other one's going to be, psychic and leprechauns. So basically it's going to be
shadow people,
leprechauns, UFOs, that kind of stuff. That wild night we had with Bigfoot.
All those things that happen to you when you're trying to lead a normal life, but then you're like, guess I can't. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it happens to the best of us, right?
It does.
So anyway, I don't know when you're listening to this. Okay, it could be a little timey-wimey, but it'll be September 12th through the 15th. So make your way out, enjoy it, hang out with us. We're going to have our booth up, and we've got everything ready. We've got, we've got our books ready to go. There's another Stacey blow up. That's why I'm laughing. It said our books. It said the other set of our books showed up today, and Stacey gets in the mail, and there's one book. And if you could have just seen her face.
I was like, I ordered way more than one book. I don't know.
The thing I like is she holds up the envelope like there may be 25 books in it. And I swear to God, she looks at the envelope like there's possibly more than.
I was looking at it to see what it was. I was trying to figure out if we ordered anything else, like because Raja orders stuff all the time, and sometimes I order stuff for Ari for school, and so I was looking at it like I could see through it. Like, is this something that I ordered that I just didn't remember that I ordered, or what's happening here? At first, when I got the notification, I knew that it was from Amazon, and I was like, they said it got delivered in the mailbox, and I was like, how in God's name did they put a box of 25 books in our mailbox?
Yeah.
I was so confused.
Oh yeah,
I don't know, it was crazy.
It really was. But I mean, everything's crazy right now because we actually waited to record till 6 a.m. So we've been up all night.
Do you want to tell them what we've been doing? We've been watching, we like the Joe Rogan podcast, Joe Rogan Experience. And there's a channel on YouTube where they have the Joe Rogan Experience Tunes, where somebody has animated bits of the conversation out of different podcasts. And that is the funniest stuff you will ever see. Do yourself a favor, look up JRE Tunes and just watch those bits of the, oh my goodness. We have laughed so hard, tears coming out of our eyes for the most part.
Absolutely.
It's so funny.
It really is. It's well worth the time, and it's on Joe Rogan's channel. So the JRE podcast or whatever, and then you'll find the tunes on there. It's well worth it. Just Joey, animated Joey Diaz. It's worth everything. Just absolutely.
I just like it because Joe Rogan can't control his laughter. So when they animate him laughing, he's like flying around the room and falling under the table. It's hilarious.
It is. Something that's not hilarious, but still quality is paranormalsideshow.com. The new and improved paranormalsideshow.com. That's right, fans. The Mistress Raja has worked night and day, chained to her computer, fed bird seed and water until she got this done. Okay? She's been unlocked because it's completed. Well, for the most part. We're launching it without a couple of pages up, but everybody does that, right?
Right.
So it looks great. It's new, improved.
Looks awesome.
Expect you to go there and check it out.
Yes.
Tell all your friends. Okay, because it's going to be fun. It's a trip.
Yes, all the main stuff is there. The front page is there. You can order the book. You can find the podcast. The only thing that is still under construction is the individual podcast pages, because we have a lot of episodes.
Yeah.
And all those episode pages have links, and so that's taking a little longer. But we didn't want to wait until all of those were done to launch the website, because that's silly. You can still get there and get the podcast and get the links to all the different places you can listen and order the book and all the main stuff. Contact us and that sort of thing. So you can go there, check it out. Let us know what you think about the new design and how good she did. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it really is. It looks great. I think it looks fantastic. And I mean, she's so talented anyway.
Right.
It's just absolutely exactly what I wanted.
And on the front page, she even put a big link to our store where you can buy t-shirts, and we're going to start uploading more t-shirt designs.
Yeah, right.
We only have the ones that we've already had up there, but she's designed some new ones, and occasionally, every so often, she'll pop a new one up there, and you can just go and check it out. Right.
And I wanted to talk to you guys about this, okay? It's that time again for God, I miss MySpace Top 8. All right? So I'm going to keep having a Top 8 until they decide to give me MySpace back.
Right. That's probably not going to happen, so you just have to have a lot of lists.
I guess so. I really missed the Top 8.
Well, I have no idea what your Top 8 is this time. I have absolutely no idea.
I don't tell her. So it's better that way. She don't tell me the news. I don't tell her the Top 8. So in keeping with the theme, okay.
Do we have a theme?
We do.
Okay.
Of course we have a theme. So in keeping with the theme, it's going to be the 8 best films from Betty White. No, I'm going to talk about, we're doing more mainstream conspiracies, and especially if the fans are going to ask, right? If they're going to ask, it's going to be stuff like the moon landing. Right. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to talk about 8 conspiracy theories.
Okay.
That are, lesser known. I'm not saying they're unknown.
Right.
But maybe just not talked about.
Not as widely known.
Yeah, maybe.
To people that don't study conspiracy theories.
Yeah, they're not discussed at water coolers.
Right, I gotcha.
So that's what I want to go into right now. And
this will be exciting.
Yeah, I got a few here, and not spending a whole lot of time on each one. I would encourage you to go look it up for more information if you want to know about it. But this is a top list.
Okay.
All right. So basically, with my conspiracy list here.
Okay.
Number 8. It could have been number 1. The reason it's not number 1 is because I was afraid of how much time I would spend on it.
I see.
Number 8, Public Policy Survey in 2016 found that nearly 12 million, listen to the number, nearly 12 million people believe that an elite class of space traveling lizards rule the earth. And I mean, they have a big list of people.
We're talking about
Justin Bieber's one of them.
Reptilians, right? I mean, that's a pretty big.
Well, they said that Justin Bieber was reported earlier in 2017 to be shape-shifting mid-concert into a giant reptile with big scaly claws and a black stripe down its middle.
You get that about several stars.
Who was it in the plane that time? Do you remember that?
I'm not sure. Was that Jay-Z?
It was someone like that. Yeah. And people swore up and down, and the story actually went away. Like we were like, ha ha ha. We were joking about it on our show.
Right. And then you couldn't find it.
That was strange.
That is strange.
Somebody's like his suit was coming off or something. Isn't that crazy?
It is. There's a lot of videos. If you just search YouTube, talk about a rabbit hole, where if you look up weird things that happen on camera, there's all kinds of things where people's eyes change, or like for one frame, they look different.
I know, but a lot of that could be explained by
it can.
TV does that, pixelation does that, but in the age of digital that we're in, where it's so everything is just so digitized, I can see it almost happening more, not less, because of that. I mean, everybody's had a digital signal go bad when your cable's going out and stuff. And, I don't know. So I believe in the reptilians. I'm not going to lie on the show. I do. I just do. It makes sense. I don't think that they're space traveling. I think maybe they space traveled. I don't know.
Right. Do you feel like they're hollow earth reptilians?
Yeah, I think they are now. I mean, anybody who's ever talked or did any kind of like whistleblowing and everything, they'll always talk about the different species of aliens that visit the planet, right? And there's good ones and very, very bad ones. And the reptilians are always in that bad. And of course, if they're ruling the world, then obviously that's why it's so bad. I mean, because we're always at war. I mean, we don't evolve from that.
Does that go into the whole theory about how sometimes celebrities get hurt or get sick or go missing, and then all of a sudden they're back, but technically it's not them, it's a reptilian clone of that like a doppelganger celebrity?
There's a lot of that. There's there was even the conspiracy of Hillary Clinton. I mean, because and I'll be honest with you, during that campaign, she looked like she was malfunctioning. Right. I mean, she could totally just be sick. Right. But she still isn't dead or anything right now. But do you remember that time she like coughed up an eyeball? I mean, it was something big. It was
something weird.
Some big gunk. And
then the one time she couldn't get in the car. Yeah. Like she couldn't function
when she was getting in that van, that was the craziest stuff. I mean, you just don't do that. No. And everybody's like, oh, nothing to see here, nothing to see. She did the stuff on the plane, like where she would lose track of what, like it was almost like her eyes would malfunction. And of course, we've all seen the memes with her and Bill on stage that time when she's like, "Ooh," and I mean, that's some crazy stuff, right? Because she's not like that.
Like all of a sudden, she just forgot how to be human. Yeah, for a minute.
No, like literally malfunctioning. Right. And I don't know. It's very compelling because a lot of times we find years later arguments. The thing about conspiracy theory. Well, it was actually a discussion because I liked the guy. Right. I mean, if I didn't like him, it would be an argument. But no, I respect the guy. And the thing about, it's the same thing with you and me. We are exactly the same on this. We can have a disagreement and completely still like the person.
It's very true.
We've had friends in the past like that. And we still somewhat liked them. And so it's something Stacey and I talk about a lot. And we think that the world is kind of fell into chaos on this part of the whole thing. We used to be able to have discussions, right? And we used to be able to have differing opinions, and you would discuss that, and it was kind of a fun thing. In school, I debated, and I loved it, and that's really part of it is point counterpoint, right? And somebody wins, somebody loses normally on that, but you just go get better facts, right? Right. I don't know. I don't have any issue with that, but this particular discussion was about the fact of conspiracy theories, and some conspiracy theorists come off crazy as a loon. I mean, they absolutely just come off bananas, right? Right. A lot of times it comes true. It might be 10 years later, but they get these early reports, and there'll be a leaker or something. And I have noticed this over the years because when you and I first really started diving down the conspiracy hole, I know that we were interested in things like JFK, and we were interested in some of the things we knew about false flags that were already released as being true. And that got us into the conspiracy thing, because we were like, wow, that the Gulf of Tonkin incident really was fake and pulled us into Vietnam to win favor.
Right.
And nearly every war they've done something to pull us into it.
Right.
Because they have to win popular opinion to be able to go to war. And we all know about the industrial, they make money.
Right.
Wars make money.
Right.
Anytime money's involved, there's going to be crookedness.
Yes.
And the thing about these conspiracy theories, Stacey and I laughed our butts off at some of the more famous conspiracy theorists. And, we were like, my God, this is nuts. This is no way. And I remember watching the 9/11 Loose Change documentary. I believe it was Loose Change. Anyway, we watched it together and the first 10, 20 minutes, because I'm a patriot. Stacey's a patriot. I mean, we love our country for all its faults, but you get in there and you're like, wow, they owed that much money and it just happened to hit that,
Right.
There was so much.
A lot of weird stuff.
A lot of weird things, and they can be coincidences. But that was like one of those things where it was lining up. But then there was these really off the wall conspiracies. And then, 4 or 5 years, sometimes 4 or 5 months, we both noticed, like, wow, that happened. That thing we thought would never happen, because it was so crazy to think that, they're going to use facial recognition on everybody. There's,
Right.
your phone is going to, you're going to have to be okay with it taking your face.
I remember a long time ago, like, they're going to chip people.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I mean, and now we're looking at, I remember when transhumanism was a conspiracy theory, that they were going to start using AI and program your brains and be able to predict, like Minority Report. And now that's a thing,
Right.
You look at China's using that social system, and they're even talking about that in the United States. I mean, it's out there right now. Right now, it's a conspiracy theory. Right now, it's leakers.
Right.
Right. But the whole thing about it is a lot of these do come true. Now, I'm sure there's some that don't, but I'm
sure.
I go by the old adage of where there's smoke, there's somewhat fire,
Right. Right.
Even in jobs and stuff.
Sort of like conspiracy theories are sort of like urban legends.
Yes.
Like perhaps there is something there that started the story. There is a shred of truth in there somewhere, and it's just getting built on the more the story is told. Because that's how conspiracy theories are told. They're just oral stories,
Right.
People tell to other people. So of course it's going to get embellished or changed or bigger than it should be, but that doesn't mean that there isn't a shred of truth in there somewhere
Right.
that started it.
And the reason, I know when we first started podcasting with Haunted South a decade ago, we talked a lot more about conspiracies, but we got away from that because we really just wanted to, number one, our credibility, but we wanted to give facts that we knew and let you decide for yourself. It's the same
Right.
thing with UFO footage or anything like that. So, it is a rabbit hole, and people, I think the danger is when you get too far into it and you don't believe anybody is telling you the truth.
Right.
I think
Right.
that's where sometimes, like, if somebody was mentally unstable, it could be very dangerous.
It could.
So I do understand trying to keep, conspiracies separate from the actual news.
Right.
And I can see where that's a problem. I think the big problem with big tech is they're just they're generalizing anyone who talks about things that could possibly be happening.
Right.
And that's a problem. That's Orwellian. That's, we're going to absolutely program and control anything we don't agree with. And that's what I'm seeing happening. And that's total fact. I don't care what side of the table you're on. It's affecting everyone, because if you let them control that, it might be the person you're against today, but it could be you tomorrow.
Exactly.
And it needs to be the government that's in control. The people are obviously controlling the government with votes, and that's the way it's set up. But now we have these conglomerates that are just deciding, nope, we're not going to listen to that point. We're going to listen to this one. So yeah, I could see it. It's a rabbit hole, but we have seen way more come true than ones that had been proven false.
Exactly.
So anyway, what do you think, reptilians?
Yes, I think yes.
I mean,
maybe not everything they say about them is true, but yes, I think there
here's the thing, right? 10 years ago, we said no.
Right.
It's just all this crazy stuff has happened. It really makes you think. I got a conspiracy theory for you.
What's that?
December 21st, 2012, the world actually ended.
And we're all just in a...
something.
Yeah.
We're in something. Maybe that's when we entered the Matrix.
There you go.
All right, so we're going to go to number 7. And this one, this was for you.
Okay.
This was great. It's actually a conspiracy theory, folks. Ever wondered how the Queen of England has managed to live so long? See, that does go back to earlier in the show.
It does.
British historian Hubert Humdinger, I kid you not.
Yeah, okay. We'll just skip over the name.
Has the answer, and it's a humdinger.
I thought we were just going to skip over it.
She must eat human flesh to be so vivacious, he put. In 2012, the site Dear Dirty America claimed to have confirmed Humdinger's reports when a serviceman at Windsor Castle claimed to discover human remains inside the Queen's private freezer. Huh. So it's, it's a conspiracy theory. We've heard a lot about the royal family in the middle of the night in the woods and children. Crazy stuff.
Right.
Right. That one was more humorous for me. I don't want to think about the Queen being like, oh, have a little,
the cannibal queen.
Yeah, have a little Vietnamese kid and some scones, please. So we'll go to number 6 quickly. When the ice bucket challenge began, remember that?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think we all do. When the ice bucket challenge began circulating the web in 2014, I can't believe it's been that long. A number of suspicious theories come with it. Several critics took to YouTube, hoping to reveal the true motivations behind the challenge, with many of them claiming the ALS benefit was a ritual purification cleansing for what would be the largest human sacrifice in history, part of a hidden Illuminati code passed down by Satan himself.
Wow. So there were all these people doing this. Well, I'm glad I didn't do it then.
Yeah. Well, obviously, I believe that one's past its...
Yeah, I think that one's probably been proven not true.
We had to throw some in to show that,
Well, yeah, not all conspiracy theories are true.
Yeah. So, of course, do you know anybody that did? No. So next we'll go to number 5.
Okay.
When NASA reported the discovery of Planet 9 back in 2016, astronomer Paul Cox took to the internet to speculate that the planet was actually a second sun. In a live video posted to a robotic telescope service site called SLEW, Cox examined Mercury's transits and pointed out a second sun. NASA and other organizations, they usually hide that stuff away from us, Cox said. They don't tell us the truth, but there it is. So I've seen a lot of stuff out there with the second sun thing.
Right.
Honestly, it looks like, lens flares or whatever. I don't know.
But there is, the shredded truth in that one is NASA does hide stuff from us, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So that, there's a basis there. Just, I'm not so sure I believe the second sun thing.
Never a straight answer.
Right,
NASA.
exactly.
And now we go to number 4.
Okay.
As in the Horseman. After that somewhat recent solar eclipse, a number of flat earth conspiracists, or flat earthers, took to the internet to disprove the spherical shape of the planet. The theory is experiencing a modern-day resurgence, with flat earther YouTube channels, which they're banning, and subreddits flourishing with thousands of members online. Now, the reason I put that on here, that particular paragraph was taken out of an article from about a year ago.
Okay.
I thought it was interesting because we talked about how much validity it felt like it gave. Now, I don't think the earth is flat.
Right.
You don't either, but we think that there could be something that they were saying with those flat earth facts that was somewhat true.
Right.
Because it was so strange. When they went on their big banning spree of banning certain far right, far left channels, violent channels, propaganda channels, things like that. They had all these, ones that they sounded legitimate, and then you get to and flat earth.
Right.
And it was the strangest thing. And we noticed it right off the bat. It was just like blah, 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 and flat earth.
Right. It was like political,
Flat earth.
fake news, flat earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like the only one that didn't seem to fit with the others.
Didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. And the reason it didn't make sense is because, I mean, most rational people are going to...
Right.
I mean, it has to be, a 2% or something that would think...
The thing about it is, even though it's a conspiracy theory, it's like a scientific conspiracy theory.
Right.
It's not harmful, really.
I don't see it hurting anyone.
Yeah, like, either you believe that in their science or you don't.
Yeah, and, that's... It was more of a funny thing. And I don't know. I mean, and not funny in the fact that, I mean, if you believe that, more power to you, okay?
Right,
I haven't personally went in space and looked.
No.
So I do not believe that NASA would go through the trouble of, making all these fake spherical, things. And plus, when I look in the sky, everything's circle, I mean? But I don't see the backside of it,
Right.
I get it. I do. I'm not sure that the moon's not some kind of freaking hollow object or satellite or whatever.
Right.
But the flat earth thing, that was really weird because now you're not going to find it.
No.
You'll still hear about it, but they got rid of all that stuff, wiped it pretty much. So just strange. Anytime they get rid of something, I'm always like,
Makes you wonder.
It does. It really does. So we're going to go to number 3. Number 3 is kind of funny to me because we had a story not too long ago about fish being used with something. It was something, not exactly robotic fish, but there was something to do with, using, I know they've used wildlife and things before for...
Was it the one about the dolphins using them to spy on other countries?
Yes.
Okay.
So this one, again, this was a little bit older. After a series of shark attacks off the coast of Egypt in 2010, a South Sinai official blamed Israel's government. From there, theories spread online. Israel was accused of possessing a fleet of killer arrow armed spy dolphins and a pack of sharks equipped with GPS systems that were sent to Egypt with an evil master plan. Now, the reason I got that was because of the dolphin, part of it. So since that time, we've had another story about the dolphins with with the spying and stuff.
Right.
And dolphins are smarter than us in the first place.
Dolphins are very smart.
I don't know. That's...
it's interesting because there is a book, and I have not read it yet, but it's written by Tanis Halliwell, and I love her book. She's the one that writes about the leprechauns. But she has a book about dolphins and about being hybrids. Something along that lines. Like I said, I haven't read the book, but I've gotten the gist of it, and I believe it's something to the effect of how smart they are, and you never know. Maybe they're spies.
Well, they could be. Maybe they're in it. Maybe they're in it with the octopus. Maybe they're protecting us from the octopus.
Oh, maybe.
You never know.
Maybe.
I just wanted to get octopus in there. Number 2. Most people know Mount Rushmore as one of the most recognizable landmarks in the U.S., as the faces of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and Theodore Roosevelt are carved into it. But not many people know there is a hidden chamber behind Lincoln's head. The sculptor created an 18-foot door behind the landmark that leads to an open room that is 74 feet long and 35 feet high. He intended to place America's prized possessions in this room. It was supposed to be called the Hall of Records. While the room does contain important historical documents like the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, it is now sealed off from the public, leading many to create theories. Some believe the government is hiding something incredibly secretive there, like proof of ETs. Others believe that there's hidden treasures in the room. Obviously, the idea that was explored in National Treasure Book of Secrets.
Right.
But, it is, whenever they do something like seal something off from the public,
it could just be for the public safety, or because they don't want what's in there to be messed with. People are terrible. They vandalize and
Absolutely.
Still, so
absolutely. I mean, there's countless. I mean, I could have went Georgia Guidestones on this. There's so many, and it's funny when I look at it. I look at chemtrails. I look at this place in Alaska they think are doing mind control from,
right?
Which we've talked about that place before too. But with all the ones I wanted to mention, I had a couple of honorable mentions.
Okay.
But I'm going to do number one here. And I'm not going to do, too much honorable mentions, but.
Right, because that kind of makes it more than 8 things on your list.
I know you were going to say that, but not necessarily. Sometimes.
They're not technically numbered?
Well, I mean, sometimes you have a tournament and you have non-tournament matches.
Right.
So that can happen, just letting you know. All right. One of the reasons is a couple of the ones I'm going to mention here that are not numbered.
Right.
Are just cool.
Okay.
Enoch. I love this guy's name, by the way.
Okay.
Enoch Lincoln was a famous poet and early advocate for black and women's rights in New England. In 1826, he was elected Maine's 6th governor. And during his term, he chose the current site of Maine's capital, where we lived, right beside it.
Right.
When he died in 1829, his body was placed in a crypt. In 1991, an inspection of the crypt found no remains.
Huh.
Lincoln's body was missing, and this sparked a slew of conspiracy theories. Some say state workers might have cleaned the tomb and just forgot to put the body back. That sounds ludicrous.
Just leave it sitting on the side of the road or something. Could you move that body so we can clean and then just left it outside? Oh my gosh.
While others theorized the governor was never buried there at all, the problem with this is his body has never been found. And
That's weird.
And the cool thing about that is we literally lived a block from it.
Yeah.
The State House. And, there was so much weird on the street we were on. People buried under the street. There's a lot of crazy in that town.
There was. Yes.
So, I mean, mysterious booms, everything happened there, I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
And I have another one for here.
Okay.
For local to us here.
Okay.
By 1988, and we have talked about this one before, but I love it. By 1988, there were 3,000 reports of UFO sightings in Wytheville, Virginia. Now, that's about 30 minutes from where we live.
Right.
In October 87, Wythe County Sheriff Wayne Pike reported that he and his deputies witnessed strange lights in the sky. It sparked a full panic in Wytheville, Virginia, prompting many conspiracy theories. By 1988, there were 3,000 reports of UFO sightings in the area. All of a sudden, everybody started seeing things, a reporter told the Bristol Herald Courier. That same reporter said he saw something strange in the sky one night when he described it as a scintillating light. Who describes something as a scintillating?
It's not really a word that you just throw out there.
You don't even see it written very much. Like, I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, really, dude? It's, yeah. Wow. Quickly, the story picked up national attention, but there has never been an official explanation of the sightings. Some theorized that the town was just experiencing mass hysteria. Of course, they're going to say that. Those hillbillies.
Right.
It was on Unsolved Mysteries.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, back in the day. I know it was. I remember that, but because I remember the whole segment, them talking to the sheriff up there. And of course, people from this area always sounds, well.
Right.
I was out making sure that Elmer's goat was not molesting that cow again. It happens sometimes. That goat, man, they call them horny goats for a reason, and I'll just leave it at that. But I was out there, and man, something just right over top of me. Now, it didn't actually make any sound, but in my head, I heard it go. I think it's the plate. I was in Nam. And they didn't do a very good job of it. Sometimes I can actually hear Chicago radio stations. It's a pain in the ass, but I'm a Cubs fan, so it's kind of neat at the same time. But there's UFOs. Sorry, that's how they portray us.
That's how people around here tell stories, though. Really,
yeah, it actually is. They very
tell
accurate.
very, very long stories for something you could just get right to the point about.
Right, they have to tell you everything else they were doing.
Exactly.
So yeah, I get it. But now I'm going to go somewhere scary.
Oh, okay. Is this the number one now?
It is. With this one, it's no more joke, no more conjecture, no more just, hey, there's something funny here about this. Mm-hmm. This one is a little bit,
Okay.
Number one. This one I started with, I was looking at different conspiracy theories, the lesser known ones or the lesser talked about ones. Mm-hmm. And there's literally hundreds, thousands. But this one caught my fancy. And then I actually went and looked a little deeper. So I'm going to do both parts here.
Okay.
For years, a United Nations-backed Sustainable Development Plan called Agenda 21 has faced suspicious criticism. According to a large spectrum of the internet, and you can always trust the internet,
of course,
Agenda 21 is really the Illuminati's covert plan to kill off the majority of the Earth's population. Now, that does go back to the Georgia Guidestones.
It does.
Which bother the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. Why would we allow there to be stones up that say just clearly the only way to survive and go forward is basically to kill off most of the population?
Right.
And I think at that point they would just do this whole, they're looking at cyborgs and transhumanism already.
Right. If you want a lot of people to live forever, you can't keep bringing more people because
a lot of elite people. But see, the thing about it is, who's going to mow their yard? That's all I'm saying. No, I'm serious.
I'm sure they would keep a few lesser elite people.
Who's
I don't know.
Who's going to build their bridges,
Right.
And to me...
Oh, robots.
Yeah,
AI.
Right.
There you go.
Well, I mean, to me, the people that build the bridges and mow the yards are the elite. So,
right.
Without them, everybody'd be lost. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I looked up Agenda 21. I went into it a little bit before, but I wanted to get a little bit more information on it.
Okay.
And where I had heard it recently was something called the Green New Deal.
Oh.
Now, I'm sure everybody listening has heard something, whether you listen to politics or not, have heard something about the Green New Deal. It's sort of it goes in with some socialism stuff and things like that with, again, AOC was the one who introduced that.
Right.
But there was actually an article I found. Green New Deal, boldest tactic yet to advance the UN Agenda 21. Now, this was from a website called heartland.org.
Okay.
Not exactly Newsweek.
Right.
But nonetheless, I thought it was interesting that this conspiracy theory progresses.
Right.
Most people in America don't even realize the tentacles of the dangerous United Nations program are being enacted in our nation's cities and certainly our country, with the full cooperation of those in our highest positions of authority. It goes on to say, this intrusive, all-encompassing plan that could eventually affect every aspect of our lives is known as United Nations Agenda 21. It's pure communistic in nature. We almost fight against it. If we are to remain as a free people and a nation, the Green New Deal happens to represent the boldest tactic yet toward the full implementation of Agenda 21 here in this nation. The specific plan, United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development, was a product of the Rio Conference held in Rio de Janeiro on June 3rd to June 14th of 1992. It was to be implemented worldwide in order to inventory and control all land, all water, all minerals, all plants, all animals, all construction, all means of production, all energy, all education, all information, and all human beings in the world. As such, Agenda 21 marked a new beginning for the UN, a decisive point of departure for the World Organization. Agenda 21 contained 27 principles warning against a mode of growth that was leading to the extinction of life on Earth, based on two fundamental ideas, development and environment. Agenda 21 was introduced as a cooperative task and challenge for world nations toward the goal to establish the basic principles that must govern the conduct of nations and peoples toward each other and the earth to ensure a secure and sustainable future. Then it was like the U.S. signed onto Agenda 21. 100 nations attended the 92 Rio Education on Environment and Development, according to the UN Information Center. All nations in attendance agreed to the document. Representing the USA was President George H. Bush, who allowed an outside entity, the UN, to collaborate and dictate an agenda which is already affecting our entire country and our citizens. Not long after its introduction at the Rio Conference, also known as the Earth Summit, Nancy Pelosi, you know her, introduced a resolution of support for the plan in Congress, calling it a comprehensive blueprint for the reorganization of human society. So as it goes on, Presidents Clinton and Obama promoted Agenda 21. So that was all going well and good until there was a new president come along, and he sort of stymied the UN movement of Agenda 21. He harshly condemned it and pulled out of the Paris Accords, and of course got crucified for it. But whether you agree with it or not, the thing that is scary is some of the things that are proposed, you know, where they're deciding for you. And that's, you know, without there being a vote to it, I guess the vote to it is going to be who you vote in and who you don't.
Right.
But when people are deciding, hey, you can eat this or you can't eat this, okay? You do this or you don't do this. You have this many kids. You have this many, you know. It's just, I can see where people would associate that with a super conspiracy.
Right.
And when you have something like the United Nations, which goes to a one world order, if there ever was one.
Right.
Because if they're deciding everything there for everyone else, and there's like, we'll sign on to this and cooperate, or don't have the backing of the UN.
Right.
You know, that's pretty
like
much
a strong arm tactic.
Yeah, it's pretty much. You know, Bush Senior actually had the big speech about a new world order. You know, and 1,000 points of light and all that.
Right.
1,000 points of light. You know, it's they've all talked about it, and it could be the best intentions in the world. That's the whole thing about this. And this is where conspiracy theory comes into it. We could totally be looking at this and looking for hidden things that are not there.
Right.
It could absolutely be people that have the best interest and are just misinformed.
Right.
Or have a different opinion than us.
Right.
So, you know, that's why I don't jump onto things like that, because when I read that, if I read it objectively, I see people trying to take preemptive actions to possibly make us okay. And I don't see that related to that Green New Deal, personally.
No.
The wording in that Agenda 21 was, let's work together to make sure we're doing the right things with CO2. And, you know, you got to look at places like China, right? I mean, they put out so much that just, and we've all lived through factories dumping dangerous chemicals in our rivers and killing our fish. And, you know, I think things like that needs to stop. And I think we need to curb it. And I think there needs to be restrictions.
That's true.
That's
true. I mean, there's a big jump between that and, you know, the part of the conspiracy theory that's over population control.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a big difference.
Yeah.
There. Big difference between being concerned about the environment and cutting the population down to a few million people or whatever.
Exactly. And that was a big reason I wanted to focus on that, is because out of all of them, that one was the most relevant to the times.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes people try to pull facts or try to pull written statements to feed into their agenda, you know? So I don't know. I don't like everything that is going on, and absolutely do not agree with, you know, anything that takes away my cows.
Right.
But you know, you lose me when you say I can't have my ribeyes. Okay. But I'm a carnivore. So I don't know. I thought it would be a little bit of fun to talk about that stuff. When we do the Scarefest show, it will be more, like I said, the ones that are really fun to talk about, such as JFK and how, you know, who really killed him. And we will tell you that if you want to come to Scarefest.
Is that what you're promising? I don't know if I would promise that.
So I do know who did the deal and why. So when you show up at Scarefest, just, you know that you're going to hear that. So come on, that's all right, ain't it?
No, I don't think you can promise that.
How many CIA agents do you think? Dude, you know what? I better watch out.
We won't even make it to Scarefest. They mysteriously had a car accident on the way.
All right, listen,
guys. They were
guys.
hit by like 6 different cars.
If we do have a car accident on the way, just remember this, okay? Let us live on. We'll be your conspiracy martyrs. So
is this part where we say we've written the information down and put it in like 12 different places and
But
given
we
it to
have.
people? And
this is where I might need people to know I have the dead man's switch.
some kind, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't even know the name of
I
it.
don't know. We have that thing.
Yeah, we have the
where
thing.
It's really scary.
And there's all kinds of people that know that we're here.
And if I don't call at a certain time,
Yeah, absolutely. They know. It's all wired because we're smart like that. Yeah, that's the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
So the big thing to remember, paranormalsideshow.com is new and pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Prettier. And if you want to be a patron and, contribute to Agenda 21, because that's what really our Patreon is all about, Agenda 21. And that's really, we're covert agents for the CIA. So no, if you want to be a patron, you want to help support us and make sure that Stacey eats tomorrow, it's patreon.com/paranormalsideshow. Thank you to everybody who's been participating like crazy on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I love putting up the memes. I love putting up the conversations and the questions and the back and forth and all the friends we've had on there. And I know I've been pushing the crap out of the Facebook, but it's been a lot of fun, and we're organically getting the numbers up there. They're nowhere near where I want them. And, so help us with that. We greatly appreciate it. Tell your friends and family. And, if they want to see funny pictures every day and get a good giggle, I spend a lot of time trying to find the ones that are giggle worthy. So with that said, speaking of giggles, it's now time for Stacey and Paranormal News.
She's the GOAT of paranormal news, traveling the globe to find you the stories you didn't know you needed to hear, and the stories she knows you'll never forget. It's time for Stacey Edwards and Paranormal News.
all right, so let's get to the news.
Let's.
So this first story is about something cool. It's going to happen while we're at Scarefest. It's the next full moon.
Oh, yay. Yay for everybody else.
Yeah. Well, and we haven't really mentioned it, but it's Friday the 13th.
Right.
That weekend is Friday, and the full moon's on Friday the 13th.
Right.
In
right.
August, it's the harvest moon. So it says in this article that if you're in the Central, Mountain, or Pacific time zones, you'll be able to see the full moon, once the sun sets on Friday the 13th. But for those of us on the East Coast, it'll be just after midnight. So technically, it'll be Saturday the 14th, but about 12:30.
So we live in after midnight.
So it's going to be probably pretty spectacular. Hopefully clear skies so everybody can see the
I hope it is clear skies. I really hate that though.
Why is that?
Because me at a full moon
Oh, I know.
in Scarefest,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I'm going to be raw, rancid even.
There'll probably be other people there the same way though.
So we can go out howl at the moon.
Right. You can just find a pack maybe.
Oh, the baby howls now.
He does.
Isn't it cool?
He loves that. I don't know where he learned about werewolves. Obviously one of those.
Listen, so all he ever wants to play is Ghost. So as soon as I come home, he's like, Ghost, ooh.
I love he makes the noise.
Or then he goes, Mommy.
He puts his arms out in front of
Yeah.
him and walks real slow. He goes,
Mommy.
Mommy.
And now he does werewolf, and he goes, oh.
Yes. Can you tell he watches a lot of Scooby-Doo?
He watches Scooby-Doo all the time. Listen, people, he's 2 years old, and he loves Scooby-Doo. He calls it dog. But
He does. And I don't think people believe us when we say that we didn't instigate that.
not a bit.
Like for us with him, it was Disney Junior. It was,
Yay, genetics. Yeah.
It was Puppy Dog Pals and,
Yeah.
Fancy Nancy and that sort of thing. And he just picked up, it turned out every show he watched, he only wanted to watch the Halloween episodes.
He still does that.
And
if he
then-
plays a game, he only wants the Halloween app.
Halloween stuff. And then he found the Scooby-Doo DVDs.
Yeah.
And that was the end.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, or the beginning.
the beginning, yes. It's the only creepy thing he does is when he really sees a ghost.
Yeah.
And he's just like he looks at the garage and goes, "Ghost? Ooh,
Yeah.
ghost?" And then he'll
Yeah.
close the door.
So we don't let him in the room when we're watching, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Ghost Travelers, Ghost Incorporated, whatever the hell we're watching.
Right, something scary.
We don't let him in there. Obviously, we don't let him around scary movies. We're not like that. So we really, as she said, it's all rainbows and lollipops. And that's just how we present it. Let them, choose their own adventure kind of thing with us. That's how we've always been. And Raja's the same way, you know, but he just naturally got this way.
Yep, he did.
It's
he
just
loves it.
really weird. It's really weird. But yeah, the ghost thing, he'll sense it sometimes. And I mean, he's pointed up to the top of the ceiling before and go, "Mama, ghost, mama, ghost."
He makes the noise too, so he knows that we understand what he's saying, because he can't say the whole ghost. Like, he'll say "go" and he'll go "ooh."
Yeah, he did that at a New Age shop we went to. He was pointing in the corner and he's like, "Go, ooh."
Yeah, he wouldn't go over there.
The lady working there is like, "Oh man."
All right, well, let's move on to this next story. This is about China's lunar rover.
A lot of lunarness going on right now.
Yes, I thought moon theme, you know.
There was that story you did about Israel and the rocket they kind of messed up with. So India also were sending up their little ship with...
Everybody's getting in on it.
Well, yeah, but everybody's not doing it. And so they sent it up there, and they had a rover that was going to go to the South Pole of the moon, right? Big deal. So everybody's trying to get up there. I guess Marvin the Martian's up there like, pew, 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 you know, just shooting them down.
Right.
But they lost the rover.
Oh.
And
They got really close, didn't they?
Yeah, they got really close. They have the orbiter, but they've lost the rover. And it's really strange. It really is. But I think now, as of press time, they found the rover, but I don't think they'll be able to do anything with it. It's like...
No, it probably crashed.
I think found it means it's like halfway buried in...
It's in pieces, maybe.
in moon dirt. But, you know, I would honestly have rather seen an Indian guy get on there, because I love India, and get on the news and be like, "Okay, you know, we've got our Vimana." And it's like, we've studied the text from the 500 BC Hindu text, and we're going to send the Vimana up. Wouldn't that be great?
It would be.
I really wish they would find one that's operational. You know, just...
It must be so disheartening to get so close to what you're trying to do.
I'll tell you what's disheartening.
And lose it at the very last second.
What's disheartening is to have 2,500-year-old text that is more technologically advanced
Than what you're doing.
than what you're currently doing. I mean...
That is, yes, I agree.
It's just crazy. I mean, the stuff they talk about in those old texts, it's just like the space wars and, you know, all the wars. I mean, basically they describe the nuclear weapons, and they describe the flying Vimanas. And
Right, and they gave the descriptions. And
yeah,
everything.
the descriptions and like the size and all that, to even dream that up, because that's so far-fetched beyond anything that they had any clue. It's one of those things that really amazes me. You know what the other thing that amazes me is?
What's that?
Like two things that I really think about a lot.
Okay.
The other thing is the freaking time before the moon. Like, you know, there's some of those old writings that talk about the time before the
time before the moon?
The time before the moon, like that the moon wasn't always here.
Oh, I don't think I was aware of that.
Yeah, Aristotle had something written about it, and there's like Greek and Roman writings about people that wrote about a time before the moon, a time before it was in the sky, a time before it could be seen. And
wow.
So it's in several different languages. It's in several different places. But yeah, there's a time before the moon. And, you know, when those things are mentioned, you got to wonder, right? I mean, is the moon, the moon's so perfect, and it's in a perfect it's right at the where it has to be, and the right size for everything to work. It's really strange.
It is really strange.
But is it artificial? Is it, you know, that gives credence to that anyway.
To the artificial thing.
Yeah. But I mean, I would like to know more about all that. I don't know a whole lot about it. I know enough to say what I just said.
Right.
And
you know, the general information.
That's from falling asleep to Ancient Aliens.
That was more than I knew. So there you go.
I wake up from Ancient Aliens. I'm like, Vimana.
Well, let's get back to China's lunar rover. They did succeed in getting their rover on the moon.
I changed my Siri to an Irish lady. And don't ask questions. It's just...
I wasn't going to.
Okay. So she sounds Chinese now.
Wow.
And it's not as bad as yours.
Right.
So we were trying to look up something a while ago, and she was like, well, I'm going to use my Siri, because mine's absolutely just, when I ask her something, it's like, haunting, haunting. I mean, I really think the Chinese have heard what I've said on the show. I really do. I think they've heard what I've said on the show.
Hacked you.
And they're just like, oh, we'll show you. And it's the same people in the same lab with the subhuman, you know, half human, half rats, like tied up to a table. But they're probably the ones hacking me. They're like, so Stacey over here, you got to understand. I've told you before, Stacey keeps her cool, right? Well, most of the time. Well, when Stacey goes off, she goes freaking off. And it's great. It's wonderful because it's always something crazy. So she has a lot of problem with automated phone calls. And sometimes I'll be up in my office and I'll hear her downstairs, and Stacey does not curse, okay? She doesn't curse. It's very rare. I mean, it's very, very rare. But I'll be up in my office and I'll hear, beep, 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 beep. You know, it's like completely just going through everything you can imagine, new and like wonderful words that you don't even think about combining. And I'll go down there and she'll have a phone. I'll be like, what's going on? She'll be, oh, nothing. I'm just trying to talk to these people at a bank that obviously don't hire humans anymore. And
you can't ever get to the person. You have to answer all these questions.
She'll be on there and you'll hear her go, yes, one, no, no. Oh my God. No.
They never understand what I'm saying. I mean, am I that difficult to understand?
So she pulls up her Siri a while ago and she asked it a question, a science-related question, but it was very easy for me to understand. And the Siri wouldn't answer her. It would just be like, at first she's like, hey Siri, and she goes, how can I help you? And she's just like, it wouldn't answer.
It's just completely
and then
it
goes, she asked another one. She goes, no, you have no new messages. And it was just, everything was avoiding her questions. It's hilarious. Stacey cannot communicate to machines. You know what? So that's going to be a superpower here. When the machines take over, like in 10 years, and those robot cops are running down the street, we're going to be able to put you in the middle of them like a bunch of walkers. They won't be able to see you or hear you.
Well, the funny thing is I was trying to get Siri to answer me, and I was being funny, and I said I repel technology, and that's what Siri heard.
Yeah.
She heard me say I repelled. She's like, I don't understand. I repel technology.
Yeah, the Chinese are totally messing with us both.
All right, so
tell me about this space stuff.
Oh, yes, China's lunar rover. We'll get into this story at some point. It's found something weird on the far side of the moon.
Oh.
Yes, it discovered an unusually colored gel-like substance while it was exploring on the far side of the moon. And it was so odd that the people doing the navigating and looking at it changed their plans to try and stick around and figure out what it was that they found.
I just pictured two aliens, right? Like monitoring what we're doing that are usually on the backside of the moon.
Right. And
as soon as they're like, the news story comes out about some strange colored gel on the space of the moon, I could see the one alien slowly turning, looking at the other one. And he'd be like, what? You had me up there for like 6 months. Sorry. But no, okay, let me get my serious face on.
Okay.
That's freaking bizarre.
It is bizarre.
And they don't have any idea what it is.
Well, they haven't said. Now, they've discovered it back in July.
Right.
And we're just now hearing about that. So if they do figure out what it is, who knows how long it'd be before they let that sort of thing out.
They'll never let it out.
And they may not even be able to determine, from this far away what it is. It might be something where they have to take a sample and wait till it comes back, or
wouldn't it be great
like
though if it was something about Mary Jo? I mean, for real, like if they found out it was some like space whale semen.
Right.
And it's just, I don't know.
I think that some suggestions that have been made was that it was sort of like melted glass substance from where meteorites maybe hit the moon.
Well, that's weird.
But
I also seen that there was organic matter that they thought it could be. Mm-hmm. If it's organic, then that's
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's a ding ding moment.
So who knows if or when we will ever hear anything else about this weird substance on the far side of the moon.
The mysterious moon gel is maybe one of my favorite things ever.
Mysterious moon gel.
What? What else would you call it?
That is a perfect description.
Yeah, it's the mysterious moon gel. I mean, it's just really cool though. What color did they say it was?
They just said unusually colored. It didn't really.
What the hell is unusually colored?
I don't know. I mean, it has an unusual color. That's all it says.
That sounds kind of racist. What are they trying to avoid here? It's just. I wonder what unusually colored is. I mean, come on, it's got to be a color.
I don't know.
Wouldn't you say like we found this purple gelatinous, object on the?
Well, perhaps they can't tell what color it is because there's no light back there.
Oh, they've got lights with them.
I don't know.
There's lights on a freaking rover or whatever. They didn't put it up there and they're like, Jim, why can't we see anything? Oh, crap!
So basically they said it contains a material that has a color and luster that is unlike that of the surrounding lunar surface. It says that it's unusually colored, and then there's another time where it says unusual color. That is all it says about the color in this particular article.
I'm going to start using that phrase as my politically correct way to address people.
This unusually colored gentleman.
Yeah, I'm just going to be like, this unusually colored gentleman was spotted outside of the Food City. And I mean, hey, it can I can mean anything.
You could. It could be any color.
They could be like, they call in and what's he talking about? Be like, he looks like he had a suntan. I don't know.
All right. Well, if we have any updates to that story, I'll be sure to let everyone know. But let's go on to this next story that is also about UFO sightings. So it's still somewhat space related. And I thought this one was really interesting. It's about Representative Mark Walker of North Carolina. He is a ranking member of the Intelligence and Counterterrorism Subcommittee. Mm-hmm. He has come out and claimed that he believes that the Navy is withholding data on the UFO sightings. Now, you know how they were doing all the briefings and the people in Congress were asking for more information. Well, apparently the information that he has received, he's not satisfied with what they told him. So back in July, he wrote a letter to Secretary Richard V. Spencer, and he asked some pretty tough questions. He said, does the department continue to dedicate resources to tracking and investigating the claims? If so, to what measure? And he wants to know if the department has found physical evidence or otherwise that substantiates these claims. Like, he feels like they have not given all the information that they should possibly give. And even in a recent interview, he was saying, you know, I don't think that they're being very forward. You know, they had this program. Has it ended? If it's ended, are we still documenting anything? Where are the resources for all of this coming from? You know, he thinks that these are fair questions that the American people would like to know.
Has he never watched Independence Day?
Apparently not.
Come on, 30,000, $30,000 toilet seats.
Well, and he's not saying that he thinks that they're hiding extraterrestrials. He's just saying that, you know, if the Navy believes that another country like China or Russia, that they have these advanced technologies, aerospace technologies, and they're not giving all that information out, that the American people have the right to know what the government's doing about it, what kind of money they're putting towards it, what they're investigating, what kind of information they're keeping. And he feels like that they are just not being as forward as they should. He did get a letter back from the Navy, but their only response was that the Department of the Navy takes these reports very seriously and continues to log sightings and fully investigate the accounts. Yeah, basically just very generic and vague, no specific details.
That's Karen's job at the end of the hall. Like, give it to Karen.
Well, you know, and this representative, Mark Walker, he's also on the House Homeland Security Committee. So this is something that's really important to him anyway. But he feels like they need to give us more information.
Yeah.
So hopefully the fact that he's still, you know, asking the questions and poking the stick, and it's just not going to go under the rug, that maybe they're going to have to start giving more information.
I mean, that's pretty cool that he's doing that.
Yeah.
You know, something funny.
Mm-hmm.
Queen Elizabeth, when she first got coronated, freaking 70 years ago.
Right.
Prince Philip, her husband, he was really, he didn't want to move into Buckingham Palace.
Okay.
He wanted to stay. There's a level down, and that's where when you get booted out, that's where you go, the mom. You know, so her mom was supposed to go to the next one down, and
right.
And there's one below that too. You get lower and lower in the house, and the one lower is the biggest mansion you ever seen. You know,
right.
But Buckingham Palace, you know, come on, and so he gets there, and he's like a wild guy, man. I mean, that's the whole thing about Prince Philip. I go off on these weird journeys, and I want to find out about people. This dude was a straight up hellion. He goes in, and you don't think about it now. You see this, you know, walking, you know, bones and flesh walking around, but he was having his Tuesday night poker parties and you know, all this crazy stuff. But when he got there, he tried rocking a boat. It was a huge scandal. I mean, it was the biggest scandal ever. You know what it was?
What?
They had people that took a letter. If he wanted to say something to his wife,
right,
you would have to write a letter, and you would give it to one of these people, one of the servants,
right,
and they would run the letter on a platter or whatever all the way to wherever the queen was or the other person was, and they would respond and write it back.
Oh my goodness.
And he had been in the military, so he was like, can we use walkie-talkies? Like seriously. And I love that forever, just because like that was just the best thing ever, because you can imagine these old stiff people coming in there. And because when he got in there, it was kind of past the Downton Abbey stage,
right?
But they still had the full Downton Abbey crew,
right? Well, the house was pretty good size. I mean, it would take a while to walk around and find somebody.
Dude, mansions. Look at that thing and call it a mansion. It's ridiculous. It's a true palace, but I get it, right? I would ask for like the bellhop from Sonic. Can I get that chick with the hot shorts? And
I guess they don't really have to do that anymore. They can just text each other now.
I wonder if they still. You know what? If they find out I'm like 500th in line and there's like some real big tragedy and I get it, what? It could happen.
It could happen.
So they'll be like that Viking guy. No, I would totally go back to that. I'd be like, I want the full staff. I actually want the little ding things down in the servants' quarters. So
where you pull the rope and it's like ding ding.
I'd even want the little pots that I could poop in. And
really?
Yeah.
Chamber pots?
Yeah, just so the one servant that gives me the side eye, that's the one I would have come do it. I would be the worst. I mean, if I had servants.
I think you should also hire a food taster in that sense then.
Yeah, I would have a food taster and then a secret food taster that lived in my closet. And he would love it because I'd get some some transient. And I'd be like, hey, you want to live in a Buckingham Palace closet? And, they're really big and they're warm and I'll feed you. So, he could be the one because I wouldn't trust the one.
I'll feed you my potentially poisoned food.
Yeah, I mean, he gets at least one bite a day, right? I mean.
Wow. I don't even know how we got off on that subject.
Because I am lit up.
Apparently.
Let me just tell you, I am on fire. It's Scarefest week. We've done a whole presentation today. We've got it all ready. We got a couple.
See, we didn't wait till the last minute.
No. We've got all this other stuff to do, and there's like way too much stuff to do to actually get it all done. But we'll get it done because we always do. So I'm just fired up, and we got all kinds of great news. I mean, when you start out with crazy gel that has no color,
right?
Where are you going to go from there?
It had color. It had unusual color.
It's an unusually colored story. You know what?
What?
I believe this is going to be the unusually colored episode.
There you go. All right. Well, while we're talking about UFOs and aliens, I mean, that was what we were talking about before we started talking about the Queen and letter runners. I don't know. We're going to have one of those in our house, aren't we? Somebody run up and down the stairs and bring letters.
If you order Blue Chew, Blue Chew.
Yes, I'm aware.
It's the Viagra that you don't have to go to the doctor for.
Right.
And it's discreetly delivered to your door.
Right.
Anyway, if you order Blue Chew, the first question, from what I hear,
right? I
don't know this for a fact,
right?
But if you try to order it, the I'm doing air quotes, the doctor that you consult with, they the first question they ask you is if you're running up 2 flights of stairs, how long does it take you? And there was like, the first answer is like 5 seconds.
5 seconds? Jeez.
5 seconds was good health.
What?
10 seconds was average.
Okay.
15 seconds was...
For 2 flights of stairs?
2 flights of stairs. 15 seconds was poor health. 20 seconds is like, you better call your doctor. I mean, seriously.
We should be dead.
Yeah, I was like, man, I had my friend look at that. And from what I hear, he was like, just closing the app. He's like, well, it's not that important.
All right. So this next story is about, I don't even know what it's about. Wait. It's about a poll that was done about whether...
it was a segue from Blue Chew.
There you go. About how many Americans believe that aliens are real.
Oh, a poll, not a not a poll.
Like a survey.
Yeah, okay.
So, oh my gosh. So, according to this Gallup poll survey, 1/3 of Americans think that alien UFOs have visited Earth. 1/3
of
Americans. That's a
awesome.
lot. So they were asked to choose between Either some UFOs have been alien spacecraft visiting Earth from other planets or galaxies, and all UFO sightings can be explained by human activity on Earth or natural phenomena. So either it's aliens or it's not. And 33% of all adults said that they thought it was alien.
It's a pretty positive article. You could have wrote that the other way.
Yeah, really. You could have been like
2/3 of Americans think that it's bunk.
And it gives you, in this article, it gives you all kinds of facts. It says the demographic groups more likely to believe in visiting alien spaceships. You ready for this? The demographic groups include the young, 18 to 29, non-college graduates, and the irreligious, like the not religious people. And
I didn't know that's how you term that.
that's what it says in here.
Irreligious?
Irreligious. But it says even with the variation across the different demographic groups, no category of any demographic fell below 27% of the respondents. So no matter what, every demographic, there are people that believe that UFOs are, some UFOs at least, are alien spacecraft. And it says that
they couldn't poll the college people because they couldn't afford their phone.
And it says, it goes on in this article to talk
That's
about
a state
how
of America joke.
even though the majority of Americans don't believe that aliens are visiting our planet, 3/4 believe that extraterrestrial life does exist somewhere on other planets. And even half of Americans agree that people somewhat like ourselves exist somewhere else in the universe.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that really, I find it interesting that they even did this poll.
I think if they did that poll after they found out about that alien elf spooge, they would, I think it would have went up a little bit. That's worth at least 2%.
Yes, I think so. And then it also asked about whether they feel that the government is withholding UFO disclosures.
They should talk to Mark Warner.
Of course, a large majority agree to that. I believe in 1996, it was 71% of the people that were polled answered yes, that the government was withholding some sort of information. And it's still pretty consistent. On this particular one, it was 68%.
See, now, how the hell, with the way the government is, would they...
I would think that would have gone up.
It should have been 98%.
Yeah, but...
I mean, that's crazy.
It's an interesting article. You can go down there and see all the different facts and figures.
Percentages are nuts anyway because, like, for instance, the Dave Chappelle comedy special that's on Netflix right now. And, of course, it's making all kinds of, like, people are like, oh, my God. Well, those people are just like the people that write those articles.
Right.
The press. When they first released it, they didn't open it up to public reviews on Rotten Tomato.
Right.
So it was only given to a select number of people who were going to be the people that write the newspapers, which are normally the offended crowd.
Right.
Because the offended is the new normal.
Right.
And so they gave it a 0% score on Rotten Tomatoes, which is like impossible to get.
Right.
And so that was what was in the news everywhere. 0%. And that made me watch it.
Yeah, they were like you shouldn't watch this. 0%. It's terrible.
Yeah, it went the other way with me. If I see 0%, I'm like, no.
Like I gotta see that.
So do you know what it's at right now?
What's it at right now?
They open it up to public. So you've got the people score. I don't know what it's called. It's something like that. 99%.
Wow. Well, it was really good.
But 99%.
Yeah. Which is also amazing.
Compared to 0%. Okay. That tells me all I need to know about polls. And,
Do you think some people voted for it like that just because of the closing it and doing 0%, like almost just in spite of, like maybe they didn't even watch it?
No, I absolutely think so. I absolutely think there was some political, aspects to it.
Right.
I think that absolutely there was people get on there and just spam it probably.
Right.
So you're right.
Yeah.
But I would dare say that there was a good 80% that wasn't like that.
We watched it, and from everything you read, I was expecting it to be terribly inflammatory and horribly.
He made fun of both sides.
Yeah, and it really wasn't that bad.
No.
Like even the making fun that he did was not really all that bad.
No, if you go back, like when we were growing up and we were sneaking and watching Eddie Murphy Delirious and
like Andrew Dice Clay,
Richard Pryor live on Sunset Strip.
Yeah,
I mean the good comedy. That to me, that was the golden age of real comedy when you could go out there and you just insulted everybody.
Yeah.
everybody. It was beautiful. And you laugh the whole time. You can laugh at yourself.
Right.
Then you laugh at the guy sitting beside you. You know, he'll do the bald joke, and then he'll do the afro joke, and he'll, you know.
Right.
It's all there. And we're missing that. We're not allowing ourselves to have fun anymore.
Right.
You know, we do.
Oh, yeah, we do.
But I just thought that was interesting.
All right, so let's move on to this next story. And this is an update on the Loch Ness DNA study. Remember I said in the last show they were going to do the press conference.
Right, now so it's going to be hard to hold him still.
Talk about the findings that they've kind of been teasing. So just to catch everybody up, they did the DNA samples in the Loch Ness, and it was the geneticist, his name's Neil Gemmell of New Zealand. And they took 250 water samples from throughout Loch Ness, and they have been studying them, and they finally decided on September 5th they were going to reveal the results to see if they found anything that could possibly explain the Loch Ness Monster.
Right,
you
right.
know. And what they said was that they can't find any evidence of a creature that's remotely related to any kind of aquatic dinosaur. Like, so the whole plesiosaurus theory, they didn't find anything to support that particular theory, that there's nothing in the water that suggests that. They said that the research team was also able to rule out a sizable number of other possible suspects for Nessie, like sharks, catfish, and sturgeon, completely ruled out. However, they were able to figure out that there is tons of DNA for eels in the Loch Ness. Like almost every single area that they tested, there was eel DNA. And one of the theories of, the Loch Ness Monster is that it is a giant eel. Now, I don't think I've ever seen a giant eel that was 25 feet long. So if there was one down there that was that long, that would be record breaking.
I believe that I'm more scared of a giant eel
Right.
than I was of a plesiosaurus.
Right.
Like, with the plesiosaurus, it'd be like, oh, this is magnificent. Look. And it'd be, oh, with a giant eel, it's kind of like, holy, run,
Yeah, eels are terrifying. But I thought it was really interesting that there were so much eel DNA. Like, apparently they're super plentiful. And there was another article that I thought was really interesting that came out about the same time that they did this reveal, sort of September 4th or 5th. There was a video that was posted that someone took of a large eel-like creature filmed in the River Ness. Now, the River Ness is like one of the rivers that feeds the Loch Ness from the ocean.
Right.
So, all sorts of things swim through there. And it was posted about the same time, but it's hard to see. You can watch the video. It's in the background. But again, it doesn't look like it's as long as the sonar images that they've been getting recently.
Yeah.
But that is definitely a very viable candidate for the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah. I heard that they found like some gangster DNA in the Elliot Ness.
Wow, that's kind of stretching.
Come on, that was funny.
I laughed. It was funny. Is that the only joke you have for the Loch Ness thing?
Yeah. I couldn't think of any other nesses.
All right. So for all those Loch Ness Monster believers, never fear. There could be a monster. It just might be a humongously giant eel that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on to a story. Oh, we have a story where scientists are baffled.
Yo, it's been a while.
I know.
Yeah.
It's about time. All right, so this is a story about an underwater observatory that has disappeared without a trace.
What?
And scientists are baffled.
Did it just quit?
No, it's gone. Completely gone.
They went down there and looked, and it's not there.
Yes, exactly. They went down there and looked. Now, let me explain to you what this observatory looks like. It consists of two racks, one weighing 550 pounds and the other weighing 220 pounds.
That's some big racks.
And they include a frame holding a power supply along with a heavy cable connecting the station to the coast and a frame to hold the sensors. And they're saying that when they went to look, the whole thing was completely gone. The entire structure, the only thing that was there was a shredded transmission cable that was shredded. And they have no idea what's happened to it. They said, I believe their exact words were, both racks were removed with great force from their position.
What the hell?
That was the statement, yes. What happened was on August 21st at about 8:15 local time to where it was, the transmission from the station came to a sudden halt. And they didn't know, so they had to dispatch divers to figure out what was wrong with it. I guess they figured they were going to go down there and have to fix it. And they were astonished that it was just gone. And the observatory was in a restricted area off the northern coast of Germany. It says boats, including fishing vessels, are not allowed in the area. So the fact that somebody or a group of individuals possibly removed the observatory, it seems like the most plausible explanation, but it doesn't seem extremely likely.
It seems very stupid to me. Okay, look, if you're going to remove an observatory, you're going to have to know that there's GPS tracking, or there's, or you're going to think there is.
Right.
It's communicating. I mean, that just seems like a dumb thing to do. Plus, this thing had to be heavy.
It was. And just because, and they even said because of the weight of the instrument, they ruled out some ideas like a massive storm, heavy currents, or even marine animals. I mean, nothing like that would have moved it. It's one of the reasons why it's so heavy is so that it will stay in place. And
I bet I know what it was.
What's that?
I bet you Loch Ness knew that they were going to take those water samples.
You think so?
And he got the hell out of Dodge.
Went to the northern coast of Germany.
Yeah, what's a good place to hide?
And, I don't know exactly what somebody would want to take it for. It says the station collected data about water temperature, nutrients, the speed of the water flow, concentrations of chlorophyll and methane. It's just scientific data.
So what it really was monitoring was the USO base, the unidentified submerged objects. And
I see.
And it was really monitoring what the aliens were doing, and it went against a treaty we have with them. So they were mad that we were trying to listen in.
I see.
And they're like, all right, dude.
Well, it says they've been collecting data since the 1950s. They use it to evaluate the health of the ecosystem in and around the southwestern Baltic Sea. And, they're able to detect potential problems.
Yeah.
So just the whole fact that it's gone now is so bizarre.
It
like,
is.
Even I'm baffled. Of course, the scientists are baffled.
Yeah.
I'm baffled.
I mean, that's like goes to the baffled department. That's crazy.
It's such a big, you'd think they would have seen it, even if it had just gotten moved just a little bit.
There should be a trace. There should be
Or a trail where it got dragged on the bottom or something. But no, nothing. And just to be leaving a shredded cable behind, something had to shred that cable.
Yeah.
So.
Those cables are gigantic too.
Very, very strange.
That's really weird.
It is. I agree. You think we'll ever hear about it again?
Nope. That's kind of like the electrostatic people on the mountain. I was trying to find that story. I was watching another story when we were looking for news, and it was about, because I'm not going to go back and look for this story, but it was about the other day, actually yesterday, there was an emergency called because on 4 sides of the same mountain.
Yeah, like in Malibu, wasn't it?
At the same time, hikers had to call for emergency rescue. But not related hikers, hiking teams on 4 sides of the same damn mountain. They all ran out of the water at the same time. It was all trained mountaineers or whatever, and they usually climb in 105-degree heat. This was 95 degrees.
There were no warnings.
No warnings whatsoever. One person died of heat stroke.
Yeah, I think that's what the article was about. Technically, it was about the guy that died of heat stroke, but then it happened to mention that there were all these 911 calls simultaneously, and they were trying to get to all of them.
And earlier this year in Denver, there was, or Colorado, I shouldn't just say Denver.
Right.
In Colorado earlier this year, there was like an electrostatic problem that had people running off a mountain.
Yeah.
Because it was just so much electrostatic. I mean, that's just weird.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
We'll do some research to see if we can't find more information on those, because that's some weird stuff.
Yeah, it is some weird stuff happening.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to a haunted house
my
story.
God, yes.
Love haunted house stories. So this is a story about a couple who bought a house in Jefferson City, Missouri, a 109-year-old house. It was like their dream home. They purchased it and they renovated it, and I love their names. Their names are Aaron and Aaron Clark.
Oh.
Aren't they cute?
Yes.
But their dream home, they said, quickly turned into a nightmare. It was a 5,000 square foot historic home. It's known as the Hobo Hill House. And they restored it. And after they restored it, some weird, inexplicable things started to happen. And when they were doing the interview, Aaron, he said, we were experiencing a lot of paranormal activity, and it sounds kind of silly, but things like the TV lights and space heaters and the kitchen sink would turn on by themselves. and they had a pet pit bull, and their pet pit bull would not go near certain areas of the home, like the stairs. Like it was very bothered.
We know how that feels.
Yes. And they heard frequent loud bangs and creaks and voices saying hi. We get that quite a lot.
Could have let off with that.
As they entered the house. But they said that the most shocking incident happened with their 8-year-old daughter. And this is what really started to disturb them with the hauntings. It said that their daughter started having nightmares and she began sleepwalking. And one night she was standing outside of her bed staring out the window, and she was just crying, like sobbing, like she was having a bad dream. And like they could see her shoulders going up and down, like the back was to her. And they asked her, they said, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Are you okay?" And when she turned around, she said that she wasn't crying, but had this huge Cheshire cat big smile on her face, kind of like the Joker, and that she was wide-eyed and shaking and just not herself. Like he said, it was terrifying, and that she appeared like she was possessed, but she was sleepwalking. And it was like the last straw. That was like way too much for them. And so they decided to leave, and they only got to live there for 7 months. So this particular article is about how instead of selling the house, they've turned it into an Airbnb rental. Now, they're saying is, and I kind of am happy about the way they thought about this, but they decided that they didn't think it would be right to sell the house to another family knowing what they know about what's going on in the house. Like they didn't want to be like, let another family maybe with kids go in there and be haunted. But they know that, if they gave people the opportunity to stay there knowing full well what's going on, then that would be okay.
So when are we going?
We can go whenever you want.
Okay.
Well, they did say, another experience. I missed this experience. I apologize. Out of the corner of their eyes, they saw a tall man in a suit and a top hat.
Okay.
Like a, hat man.
Yeah.
Hat man. So according to the family, the first group to rent the home couldn't even stay the whole night. And one of the young ladies that was staying said they saw a dark figure on the staircase, and another said she saw a similar dark figure on the porch and in the master bedroom. And one of the people that booked the house said they smelled a strong odor of sulfur, and they just were like, nope. They got there at 6 p.m., left at midnight. They didn't even stay because they were so terrified about all the stuff that was happening. So it's it's an Airbnb rental. You can rent it. The address is 500 East Miller Street in Jefferson City, Missouri. And I believe that the home was featured on the Dead Files. Now, I haven't seen that episode, so I can't say. It says in here that it was on the Dead Files. It's an episode called Not My Child.
Right.
I don't know anything about the episode, but you might want to check it out before you rent the house, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Very crazy, but at least they are able to possibly make their money back.
Yeah.
Because haunted rentals are pretty big, especially this time of year.
Oh yeah. That's awesome. I'll go stay there.
Yeah. Crazy.
I'll steal his hat.
Don't be saying that. There's no hat man in this house now. But yeah, I don't blame them for moving out though. I mean, once their daughter started being affected.
Dude, there'd be if that happened to me and you, there would be like big holes in the wall, like a cartoon, the shape of our, we're brave. We're going to a place, but we also know that when, your daughter turns around like Heath Ledger,
right?
It's time to go. It's time just to get out. We've been in those places before.
Yeah.
And we lived in the Black House. We're not going to do it again.
Crazy. All right. So now that we have our next vacation destination planned.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. I can't think of anything else I'd go to Missouri for.
No, I don't know. I don't know what's in Missouri.
I was trying to think, maybe we could plan some stuff around.
I'm sure we could find something. There has to be something there.
Yeah, there's got to be. So whoever listens from Missouri, tell me what's like cool.
Around Jefferson City, Missouri.
Yeah, let us know around there, you Mizzou fans. Let us know what's around Jefferson City, Missouri, so we can plan our little Airbnb. Maybe you can go with us.
Yeah, there
you want to stay the night with us at an Airbnb? Just if you're there, and next to that in Missouri, get a hold of us and we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll all go see how haunted it is. All right, so let's move on to this next story, and this story is about Ouija boards.
Oh boy!
Now I know this is
Ouija.
Ouija boards. This is, Ouija boards are controversial. even among paranormal
Quite a
people.
bit, yeah.
And this particular article is really interesting because it's about a researcher who developed this high-tech tracking system for the Ouija board. His name is Dr. Eckhard Kruse. He's an applied computer scientist at Baden-Württemberg Cooperative State University in Germany.
Wow.
It's German. And he created this camera and software-based system that can track the movements of a Ouija board. His original inspiration for creating this was just out of convenience. Like he was using it and trying to study it and figure it out. And he said, during the course of regular sessions, writing down letters on paper was very tedious and it wasn't fast enough because you'd have to let go and write. And so he switched over to speech recognition, but that was still prone to too many errors. The speech recognition would pick up on things it didn't want it to pick up on. So he finally developed this setup that allows complete tracking and spelling support in real time during the Ouija session. So it utilizes a webcam and this Java-based software to detect the position and motion of some dots on the planchette in order to track the letters and the actual movements. So now, if you read into Ouija boards and how they're explained, I believe that the typical explanation is that the people using it are either consciously moving it or they are unconsciously moving it. And it's kind of a psychophysiological phenomenon. I think they call it the ideomotor effect, where like you're unconsciously moving it and everybody's sort of doing the same thing. And so he said that his preliminary data kind of challenges those assumptions though. And the reason he says that is because you would think if people were unconsciously spelling a word, let's say there was two people using the Ouija board and they had their hands on the planchette. If they were spelling a word, at first they wouldn't know what the word was and it would go kind of slow. But as the word progressed and people figured out, obviously it's going to be, heart or something, the spelling should speed up because everybody knows what the next letter is going to be. But that wasn't the case. Like the spelling of the letters was very consistent.
Right.
And it didn't point to the fact that people were figuring out what was coming next. So overall, basically the things that he figured out from his first, bit of tracking, he said that when hitting a letter, details of the motion path could indicate whether the next letter was already anticipated. But like I said, you couldn't really tell because it was very consistent movement. The tracking software allowed them to see that the people doing the sitting, their fingers moved before the planchette and not the other way around. That would definitely lend to the fact that it's the ideomotor effect because obviously the people are moving first and not the planchette. However, he notes that if you have two people or three people, in order for them to all do that at the same time to the same letters, there has to be something going on, something psychic, something, that is unexplainable.
Yeah.
So it's very strange. He's still going to keep studying it. He has written a paper on it. And of course, it doesn't really explain how it works to a certain degree.
Right. Well, I've always thought that maybe if they use thermal, and you could either have a thermal cam on to see, if it's getting warmer, where the fingers are on one person or not, because, if you're pushing down more, or if we have pressure sensitive game controllers.
Right.
And depending on how hard you hit something, if you have pressure sensitive on your phone, right?
Right.
So why couldn't you have pressure sensitive planchette? Just for an experiment.
Right.
And you would be able to tell, at just on the slightest, measurement, how much pressure is being put down by a certain person. Is one person controlling this? Is
someone putting more pressure?
Is somebody putting more pressure and pushing it around? It's something that wouldn't screw up. Like they wouldn't see that happening when they're doing it. Don't even tell the people that are doing the case study.
Right.
Have them come in there and just say, look, we're going to have you monitor this Ouija board. And they wouldn't know that was on there. So if you did that with like 10 different people, 10 different sets of people,
right,
you should be able to find out right then.
Have you ever used a Ouija board?
I have.
Have you? And how did it go?
No, I didn't use it enough to do it. I didn't use it in a hardcore way.
Right. It's more just a fun thing.
We were just screwing around. It wasn't like I was taking it serious, and I was younger, so it was just not for that reason. We would get it out and play as a family and stuff like that,
Right. I think a lot of people did that.
Yeah. So when I did it, it was nothing because I didn't put anything into it. When I was old enough to really know that it could be a problem, I didn't screw with it because
Right.
everything I screwed with became a problem.
Right. Well, and because you attract things.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what about you? That seems like a loaded question when you ask me.
I was just curious. I have a friend of mine, and I did it, and it was very creepy. It spelled some stuff out for her, and I know that for a fact that I was not moving it, and she claimed that she was not, and I trusted her to be honest about that. She seemed pretty freaked out by the time it was done. So I don't know. It was really strange. We didn't really do it much after the first time. It was like she was too freaked out. She didn't want to really touch it anymore. So
yeah, I mean, it's a doorway.
yeah,
I don't like them. I mean, I don't like them just because I feel like the spirits know, at that point that they can. I think they get too anxious,
right.
and it's not enough for them. It's like a drug. They want to get their message out, but it's just like a drug. So it goes from that to helping your hands along to full possession. It's simple.
I thought that was interesting that they found out that the fingers moved first instead of, because I guess the idea is that the spirit's moving the planchette and you're just following along. But if their fingers are moving first, I mean, if they're really not doing that, that would mean that a spirit or whatever would have to be controlling your hands, and that's a scary thought.
Yeah, it is. I don't know.
All right. Well, anyway, I thought it was interesting, and there's a lot more information in that article if you want to go read some more about his studying. He has done tons and tons of experiments with it, so very interesting.
Next thing we'll hear is that he's, a demonologist, has to go out there and
he'll be the next exorcism movie.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to a science article. And this is one of those articles where scientists are doing something and I'm a little worried about it. To be honest.
All right.
So this is about some scientists who have created miniature brains from stem cells that have developed functional neural networks. In other words, they've detected brain waves off some mini brains that they've grown in a dish.
Wow.
Yes, they're pea-sized brains. They're called cerebral organoids.
I went to school with some of those people.
And it says scientists have successfully grown organoids with cellular structures similar to those of human brains. However, none of the previous models developed human-like functional neural networks. But now they have, and they've actually detected brain waves, small brain waves, coming from these little mini brains in a dish.
Oh my God.
So what that means is that the brains that they're growing have matured much further than any that they've ever grown before. So they claim that it's not likely that these organoids have any kind of mental activities, like any kind of consciousness.
Well, of course they're going to say that.
Or anything like that. They say it's still a very rudimentary model, and they don't have any other, the brain waves don't have anything to do with any kind of activities in a real brain. It's just really unusual, and they weren't expecting to be able to detect that kind of activity.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, you know what's going to happen now.
What's that?
I mean, if we actually have the zombie apocalypse, we've got something to feed them.
Well, when in the article it talks about what you use brain organoids for, and it says you can use them for several things, including able to understand normal human neurodevelopment. You can study them, disease modeling, brain evolution, drug screening,
right?
And my favorite one, even to inform artificial intelligence.
Yeah, to give it a real brain.
Yeah, there's the one where I kind of started going, that's interesting.
I can't even believe they left off Scarecrow.
So, I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting study that they're doing. I'm not sure if they're going to continue this and try to keep maturing them more and more so they get more and more brain activity, or where that's even going to lead.
I would imagine they'll all be eaten soon as the brains figure out in the middle of the night and pull themselves out of the jar.
Right, and attach to something, and
like a cat.
Well,
God, I hope it's a cat.
I feel like they're growing those specifically for the artificial intelligence.
Because
they happen to casually mention that at the end of the list.
Yeah.
Oh, and you could use it for this.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah,
Yeah.
no. I mean, that's ridiculous. It's
very-
you know that's what they're doing. I mean, you know that's what they're doing, right?
It has to be. It has to be. Okay, so let's move on to just an interesting little snippet here about DARPA.
I'm sorry. I'm going to tell the people, even though it's been edited out. I may or may not have just went off on a tangent about how we could, just use regular humans to do that instead of growing their brains. It sounded very nice and humane in my head,
Right.
but it wasn't.
But then it came out of your mouth.
It did. Sometimes that there's a little like travel between my brain and my mouth. I believe there's a dirty road. Like I really do. I think there's some pollutants in between my brain and my mouth, and they like bad influence, like these little bad influence men that live in my nose.
I think they've just found the work around your filter. Like there's like the long way that goes through the filter where you actually think about what you're going to say before it comes out. And then there's that hole in the fence where things just sort of get out.
I think there should be a certain smell, like the car. When the cabin filter's bad and we get in and we turn it on, we're like, oh, Jesus,
Right.
I think that wouldn't that be cool if there was like an aroma and you're like, oh God, John, don't talk to anybody. We got to change your filter. It'd be so much easier.
All right. So anyway, yes, we did edit that out. This is why we don't go live. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
we don't. We did it one time.
We did.
Offended all kinds of people.
So this is a snippet about DARPA.
Oh, sorry, that was my drink. Yes, you're snipping about DARPA.
And this is just an article about how DARPA sent out a tweet on August 28th claiming that they were interested in identifying university-owned or commercially managed underground urban tunnels and facilities that were able to host research and experimentation, and that they needed it ASAP, like in a couple days.
Yeah.
And so
I saw that tweet.
Yeah, people
Freaked
were
me out.
kind of like, why on earth does DARPA need something like that just that quickly? It just was very odd. And so, people...
Got Elon Musk all over it.
The people that did this article, they reached out to DARPA and they asked about it. And they said, yes, the turnaround time was short, but it was a short notice for them as well. And they just need this really large space for some experiments. They wouldn't explain why they needed it. But they do mention that DARPA is interested in exploring the domain for researchers to analyze approaches to situational awareness in places like that.
In 3 days.
And response times and emergency scenarios.
No. It's the mole people. They crashed. There was mole people, aliens, and they crashed, and they're like, oh my God, we got to get this family underground.
Well, I would think people would be more worried that they want to experiment better ways for emergency scenarios, response times for emergency scenarios, and situational awareness in urban city-like settings.
I know.
That just...
We could be so lucky.
And it does say that DARPA is currently hosting something called the Subterranean Challenge, which
Find us a tunnel.
is happening next year. So perhaps it's a building for that, but that wouldn't explain why they needed it so quickly.
No, I like my mole people thing better.
And yeah, I do too. And to make it even more ominous, when someone said that the urgent need for the tunnels sounded both exciting and ominous, DARPA replied, even to us. Like they didn't really know what it was for either.
What the hell? So who's telling DARPA? Is there's like one guy that calls and he's like Mr. X. And there's like a phone in the corner, and like the guy who runs the DARPA facilities, like he's always sweating like every day. He's like, usually if I make it to 3:00 and it's not ringing, I'm okay. Sir, when was the last time it did ring? It was 77. Like 1970s? Oh yeah, I remember it. I was an intern then, and it rang, and we had to. That was the day they shot the alien. Oh, really? Oh yeah. You'll hear about it someday. Some butt wipe will write a book or something. But yeah, it's ring. That's my phone ringing voice because I couldn't get the thing. I tried I really wanted to do it, but my mouth wouldn't do I think the little guys in my nose are pissed at me.
Right.
But yeah, wait a second. Did we talk about the filter, or did we edit out the filter and the little guys in my nose that stop it from my brain to my mouth?
No, we talked about the
Okay,
filter.
we did talk about that.
Because we were talking about how we edited the other stuff out.
Okay.
Because you have no filter.
Well, I've lost the whole joke now.
I'm sorry.
So anyway, we'll just pretend that something funny happened in that office.
Just laugh.
Insert laugh track here.
Well, speaking of someone that wrote a book about shooting an alien, that is my next story.
Wow.
You didn't even know that, did you?
I did not know that.
That was funny. You made a segue and you didn't even know it.
Well, there you go. No, I really don't.
So this next story is about a book where a retired Air Force major claims that an alien was killed at Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. And this is a famous incident that happened back in 1978, in January of 1978. And the book is called Strange Craft, The True Story of an Air Force Intelligence Officer's Life with UFOs.
That sounds awesome.
So you probably will recognize this man's name. It's retired Air Force Major George Filer III.
Okay.
And he is a decorated former intelligence officer for the 21st Air Force Military Airlift Command at the adjacent McGuire Air Force Base. And in the book, he recounts the extraordinary tale of what happened back in 1978. Now, the reason I said you might recognize his name is he is like his state representative for MUFON, and I believe he's popped up in other stories, other UFO type stories.
Filler stories.
So George Filer, he was not the one that this happened to. He didn't see the alien or shoot it, but he was there that day and he had to do the investigation, and he wrote a top secret memo about it. And it's sort of just been an urban legend since the early 80s, but he is saying that it is indeed true. And the way the story goes is it was a really cold day, January 1978, and a bipedal creature described as about 4 feet in height and grayish-brown in color with a, quote, fat head, long arms, and a slender body was shot to death with 5 rounds fired from a service member's .45 caliber military-issue handgun. And as he explained it in the book, the soldier had originally been in a police pickup truck, and he was driving through the wilderness of the base, and he was in pursuit of a strange low-flying aircraft that had been observed passing through the military installation's airspace about 2 o'clock in the morning. And of course, they didn't know what it was, and so he was kind of following the light, trying to figure it out. And about an hour into the drive, the soldier became aware that the craft, which was oval-shaped and radiating a blue-green glow, was hovering directly over his vehicle. And he said that's when the creature emerged from the shadows on foot, revealing itself to the soldier by stepping into the beams of the vehicle's headlights, where the MP drew his weapon, ordered the alien to freeze, and fired at it. Now, I don't know. It doesn't say specifically how much time passed in between those things. Like, seriously, this alien could have been like, excuse me, can you tell me the way to Jupiter? And he didn't give him a chance to do anything. He was just like, freeze, boom, 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 killed him. I mean, you would freak out in that situation, I guess.
I wouldn't have killed him. I wouldn't have shot him.
I don't think I would have either. But this guy was freaked out. I mean, he was by himself, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean, I seriously would not. I would not. I don't care how crazy it looks.
Especially if his craft is above your head.
Well, yeah, I mean, but if it was a bipedal creature, okay, I'm not going to shoot it just like that quick. Not unless I know I'm in mortal danger. Like it's swinging at me.
Well, he also said that the alleged alien succumbed to its gunshot wounds on the Air Force side of what is now Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst in Burlington County, and its remains gave off a foul-smelling ammonia-like stench. And then later that morning, a cleanup crew from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio flew in to retrieve the body, behaving as if the creature was not really alien to them at all. Like they weren't surprised. And so, of course, the Air Force, they never really responded to anything. Like, they questioned them about this book and the story, and they didn't respond, obviously. Now, George Filer's parts that day, what he had done was he arrived at the base before dawn to prepare his 8 a.m. intelligence briefing, for the superior officers. And he explained in the book that when he arrived, security at the base had been tightened, and he personally observed the emergency response in the aftermath of the incident. He wasn't there for the incident. And he also said that he interviewed some of the witnesses from the scene for a report on what happened that he was required to file. However, he was denied access to and was never cleared to see any of the photos that he said were taken at the scene. Like, it was completely, immediately hush-hush. But he also said that he had this conversation with the senior master sergeant, because he said the senior master sergeant runs everything from who sweeps the floors to organizing the staff schedules and making sure everything's up and running. And he said that his senior master sergeant was agitated, that his face was pale and his eyes were wide open. And then he said the strangest thing. He said, an alien has been shot at Fort Dix and they found it on the end of our runway. And so Filer asked him, he said, wasn't it an alien from another country? And the sergeant said, no, it was from outer space, a space alien. There are UFOs buzzing around the pattern like mad. And then later on, the Air Force classified everything as top secret, silenced all the witnesses through national security restrictions and, of course, intimidation. And everyone was supposed to be hush-hush. So Filer's the only one that has now come out and is saying, hey, this really happened. This is my part in it. This is what I know happened. And he's put it in this book.
So there was UFOs pissed off and flying.
I think so. Yeah.
And flying around.
Yeah. Now, I believe he's spoken publicly about this before, but I think this is the first time it's ever been put down in writing. So.
Well, there's a story that I freaking love, and it was one of my favorite. And I love the old UFO conference videos where you'll find them on YouTube, and they just look underground because there wasn't a lot of money put into anything, so
right.
It's like it probably recorded on like a Sharp, full size VHS
right,
camcorder,
right.
But it's Phil Schneider. It's if nobody's ever watched him speaking, it's worth going and watching. I'm not going to get into the whole thing right now. It's Dulce base. It's about an underground, little shootout with some aliens. Well worth your time.
Right.
It's probably an hour, something like that. YouTube, and like I said, it's old, man. But to get the whole story, just go and look that up. It's Phil Schneider, and just put like Phil Schneider, Dulce, shootout, aliens. You should find it.
Okay, so speaking of aliens, let's do a UFO story. And this one is kind of interesting. It's from Wyoming. And I thought it was funny because a woman called the sheriff's office because she saw 2 UFOs. And she asked them to send someone out. And the sheriff's deputy arrived in the area and met the woman, who the sheriff's office said was not from around here. And she explained that she'd seen 6 or 7 blue and white lights hovering and not blinking, and that she saw one land in a cornfield, a far-off cornfield, and one go in the other direction. And so the sheriff, looked around. He didn't see anything. There wasn't really anything he could do.
Right.
I mean, it was nice of them to investigate, but they did mention that, she did not seem impaired at all.
Yeah.
That, they didn't give her a ticket or anything. Like, she didn't look like she was drunk. But they probably said it was probably just a drone. Isn't that what they always say?
Yeah.
It's probably just a drone. You never know. But she didn't seem to think it was something normal like that.
Was it like 6 or 7 drones?
I have no idea. I mean, it bothered her enough that she stopped in a location where she's obviously, if she wasn't from around there, she's probably not used to that place.
Right.
Called the sheriff and then waited there, at night in the dark for a sheriff to come just to explain what she saw.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I would think you would have to see something pretty spectacular before you went to that much trouble.
We've seen actual UFOs and not stopped.
Right.
So I mean,
yeah. So I mean,
yeah, it's got to be something pretty amazing.
I don't know. It's interesting that one landed in a cornfield. Maybe it was going to make a crop circle, and she thwarted it.
Wouldn't that be awesome? I'm still like humming on that a bunch of pissed off aliens flying around the base.
Yeah, that's crazy because they would.
Yeah, I mean that's just really cool though.
Mm-hmm. I wonder. Sorry.
That's okay.
What do you wonder? And then I'll tell you what I wonder.
I wonder what happened to the ship. Like I wonder if he was that wasn't his ship. Like maybe his ship crashed somewhere and he was he was down running around and they were going to pick him up right then. Something like that. Or maybe he crashed and was trying to get to the military base because he knew that the military knew about them.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, I wonder what else happened that George Filer didn't know about.
Yeah.
After that, because they were buzzing. And once Wright-Patterson Air Force Base got there, who knows what happened? Oh. That nobody talked about,
Yeah.
Where he was. So there could be a lot more to that story.
I think all the Area 51 stuff got taken to Wright-Pat. Is that correct?
I think I heard that.
Yeah. I couldn't remember. I think that's the one.
Yeah, I think that's the way. Mm-hmm. All right, so I just have a few more stories here, just some fun little things here at the end of the show. And this one I love. It's about crows.
Oh, okay.
I love crows. And it's about a San Francisco woman who feeds crows, and she receives gifts in return. We've had stories
yeah.
like this before, and this is something that crows do quite often. And it's a woman in San Francisco who feeds the crows every day at her apartment, and she gives them food, and she says that they bring her gifts. So she started feeding 2 families of crows that kind of congregate outside of her apartment, but that she has rules established. Well, they'll watch for her to open her blinds in the morning.
Right.
They won't bother her, and once she opens her blinds, then they'll come and collect treats from her fire escape and her windowsill and stuff like that. And then she said she noticed after a while that the crows started leaving her things, like they brought her a portion of a champagne bottle, some gummy bears, some colorful rocks, bones, nuts, and strange little bits of just this and that they find. I guess they want to bring her in exchange for her giving them the treats. So I think that's pretty cool.
That's freaking awesome. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's really cool. It's I know your ravens used to bring stuff, and we'd always find like pieces of string, and weird crap like that.
Yeah, like on where they shouldn't be, like right up on the doorstep, that sort of thing. Yeah. And she said that as she's been doing this over the years, she's noticed just how similar crow families are to kind of like human families. Like they seem to have long-term relationships, and they only raise a couple children at a time, and they actively teach their children. Like she could tell that the crows were teaching their baby crows how to collect the treats properly and when to wait, and it was, she says, really interesting. So they are very smart. Yeah,
they are. I mean, I like ravens better, but yes,
I do too. We just watched that video of that huge raven, and it was mimicking.
Yeah, and
voice.
it was like she was like, "Hello." He's like, "Hello."
Yeah, like in her voice.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
It was
very creepy.
Well, I mean, it's it's just nuts, really. I mean, they're probably one of the smarter, birds, and you would never give them credit for it.
No.
I mean, you would never think about it.
Because they have that problem-solving, like logical mind. All right, so let's move on to this next story, and this is from Bradford, Vermont. And in Bradford, Vermont, in the post office, there was an anonymous flyer placed on the bulletin board there that claims that the prolonged closure of the Creamery Bridge over the Watts River was not due to the displacement of or intrusion on a Sasquatch or Bigfoot, either a single creature or several.
What the hell?
So someone put this flyer up, and the Dartmouth College professor Alexander Chi posted a photo of it to Twitter, and it has just gone viral since then. And I think it was basically put up in the post office maybe as a joke, but it's definitely caught everyone's attention. So I'm just going to read the flyer to you.
Please.
Okay, it says, "Attention. We would like to put to rest any and all rumors regarding the Creamery Bridge, Bridge 22, that crosses the Watts River here in Bradford. The prolonged closure of the bridge is due primarily to deck replacement and not because of displacement of or intrusion on a Sasquatch or Bigfoot, either a single creature or several. This is absolutely untrue and frankly quite ludicrous. These rumors born of agitated imaginations are to be ignored and disregarded. Thank you."
Signed, B.W. Foot.
Yeah, there's no signature on it. But the funny thing is I don't think that there really were any kind of rumors like that. I think somebody just put the flyer up to be funny.
I'm telling you, there was a giant Bigfoot wearing a tall trench coat, a floppy hat, and big glasses. He walked into town after drawing the short twig.
Right.
And had to come in and post that.
It is a very much a don't look this way. I swear there aren't any Bigfoot over here. Don't ignore the big hairy creature.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought that was really funny. It does say that the bridge is scheduled to be fixed in October, and hopefully the Bigfoot won't break it again.
I hope they do. I hope somebody gets video of it.
I want to know where the Bigfoot got the computer to print out the flyer.
Oh, they've got all that stuff.
They're very technologically
They're way
advanced.
more advanced than us. They're friends with the aliens.
All right, well, let's move on. So do you remember last show how we talked about the Vatican Library has been digitized and it's online? Well, I am here to tell you that if that is not your cup of tea, you don't feel like reading anything from the Vatican Library, that the world's largest occult library also has a public online archive.
Yeah.
It's Amsterdam's Bibliotheca Philosophica Hermetica.
That sounds like something to be underneath Wile E. Coyote.
I know, also known as the Rittman Library.
Right.
Which I'm sure they say that because the other one's really hard to say. It houses more than 25,000 occult texts covering Hermetics, Rosicrucians, theosophy, alchemy, mysticism, Western esotericism, Kabbalah, anthroposophy. I mean, just anything occult.
I wonder if anybody's seen Glenn Danzig since this went online.
Freemasonry. I mean, everything.
I can just see him in a room right now, like a dark room with one of those old school computers, like a Commodore 64 or something, and just like a little desk, and like looking on it, big thing of lube beside him. That's funny. That's real funny. And I can get on there and look at that, read what's ever in there.
Yeah, whatever they've got up there so far. It says the library's begun to scan and post its core collection to an online archive called the Hermetically Open Archive. And the whole project was underwritten by Dan Brown.
Wow.
Yes, and thanks for the library's contributions to his books. Because, I guess he needed a lot of information from them. And as a thank you, he underwrote the whole project. I guess he wanted it all to be out there.
Thank you, Dan Brown.
Yeah. So it says those scans are all in the public domain. The library uses JavaScript tricks to try to block scraping, like I guess so you can't share them or,
That's fine.
steal them, anything like that. So it's pretty cool. You can go. I haven't had a chance to really browse around this library, but I'm definitely going to go, and if you go to this article, there's a link for it. So
I can't wait to get into that. I can't. I don't know if you'll let me, but
I just want to get in and look at some of the cool like artwork in the books and the cool writing. I love old books like that.
You never know what you'll find.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's so many things that are in books that people find all the time. They're like, oh, I didn't know that was in there, and
that's assuming you can read what's there. I mean, a lot of those are going to be in another language or Latin, or you're going to have someone to translate for you. So
I'll be able to get it. I'll get the gist.
All right, so you just follow the pictures and be like, what's that guy doing? Okay.
Eye of Newt.
All right, so my last two stories are both animal stories.
Okay.
To end on the cute animal stories. This first one's about some raccoons.
Oh.
In Canada.
I hate
Canadian raccoons.
Hey.
They're very nice raccoons.
I'm
they
sure.
don't really go through your trash, and when they do, they tell you they're
apologies,
sorry.
Yeah.
So these raccoons in an Ontario neighborhood have been getting drunk because they've been eating fermented fruit.
Oh my God, drunk raccoon sounds terrifying. Are they like got their little paws around each other in the middle of the night singing?
So these residents of this Ontario neighborhood, they captured some photos and videos of some unusually behaving raccoons that experts say were likely drunk. And this one woman said she arrived home on Monday to find a raccoon stumbling around oddly in her backyard. And she said he couldn't really move. He was kind of dragging his legs and wobbling and having a hard time. And at first she thought he was a rabid raccoon, but then I guess the way he was stumbling.
When the female raccoon came out of the bushes, hitting him with a rolling pin.
So another area resident said that she found one in her backyard and that he was sort of sleeping it off under their deck. Like he was just under the deck, all sprawled out sleeping. And so the experts claim that they are eating fermented fruit and it's making them tipsy. Actually making them drunk.
I bet you there are some high school kids right now in Ontario that are eating the crap out of some fermented
fruit.
It's going to be like the new thing. Wow. Drunken raccoons.
Yeah.
Raccoons.
Raccoon is something completely different.
It really is. It really is. That's crazy.
Yes. I can't imagine. I would be terrified if I saw a raccoon and it was stumbling. I would think it was rabid as well.
I don't like raccoons anyway.
No,
They're terrifying.
Neither. Yeah, because they get in your trash. All right, last story. It's about a monkey.
Oh, good. Yes. I'm all for the monkeys.
This is a video that was taken of a monkey at a Chinese zoo. The zoo claims that this monkey is very clever, more clever than the other monkeys. Like it understands things that are going on. It's kind of scary.
It's probably one of those monkeys they've been working on in China.
It could be. But there's a video of this monkey going up to the glass at its enclosure and using a pointed rock to smash the glass.
Oh my God.
Took the rock, put the pointed end out, and kept hitting it over and over until the glass shattered. Now, this is a capuchin monkey, so it's like one of the little ones.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when the glass shattered, it wasn't glass, like it's shatterproof, like it shattered, but it didn't break into a million pieces, but it scared the monkey to death, and he ran off.
Yeah.
But he did prove that he could figure out how to get out of there by breaking out. So
he's currently chained down, right?
no, they just removed all the rocks.
Oh.
They just removed all the rocks. But they did claim that this monkey was unlike other monkeys, that he knows how to use tools to break walnuts. Why the other monkeys are still kind of like knocking them on their heads and biting them and stuff.
Right.
He like uses tools and opens them.
Knocking them on their heads.
Like they haven't figured it out. And he's like unusually clever for the group that he's
Right.
in. So I don't know. It's a really cute video. It's funny when he scares himself, but it's a good thing they took the rocks out, because I have a feeling,
With some other dead monkeys.
yeah, he was going to figure out some other way to get out.
Wow.
So.
That's bananas.
There you are.
Wow. I mean, I'm telling you, that's one of those damn monkeys we've been talking about. We talked about them doing those trials, yeah, in China. You got to watch the Chinese, man.
You got to wonder.
I'm just telling you. All right, well, that's no more monkey business, no more monkeying around. It is time for us to go ape crap happy and get all packed up and head to Scary Festo. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope we're going to see you guys there. I hope you're listening to this on your way to Scarefest right now. So you're going to be able to check us out and see us Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We'll be there Thursday, but that's for us. So really, really looking forward to it. Be sure, again, check out the newly redesigned website, paranormalsideshow.com. We are pretty proud of this. We're pretty proud of Raja. She gets to stay around for a little bit longer, unchained from the desk now. Also, as always, I ask every week, facebook.com/paranormalsideshow. Go on there, enjoy my memes, and like the page. Also, anywhere you listen to this, I don't know where you're listening now, but wherever that may be, make sure you put a little review on there talking about how wonderfully golden voiced I am and how funny Stacey is and how great it all is. And it helps us out. It's every time you do it, it saves a Chinese monkey. Also, Twitter @Sideshow97. And if you want to be a patron, you know you want to be a patron. We really want you to be a patron. It's patreon.com/paranormalsideshow. If you're a patron and you come see us, we'll let you buy a book. Just letting you know.
We might give you something that's unusually colored.
The unusually colored gift. Now we have to go find some of these. I'm going to go find some unusually colored rocks to hand out just for you guys. For my lovely wife, Stacey, my name's John. So long from the sideshow.
Good night.